And we are back for this round 5 of Uprising 2021, the culmination of the Australian ITC season, and technically kind of the culmination of the world as well, seeing as there isn't another major happening for us this season, which is, I think, one more week. This is our leaderboard. My name is Adam Camilleri. Thank you for joining us. This is The Art of War, presenting The Art of War Down Under, or the other way around. I don't know which one that is. It's good enough. How you doing, Nick? Nick Standing is back joining us again, back with us, brother. How you going?
Mate, I'm going good, excited, and super pumped to see round 5 take place.
Yeah, so the shenanigans have ended. We're no longer putting on anything but the top tables. So we've got the top 3 tables from this bracket, as you can see in front of you guys on your screen. Number 1, Liam the Mad Doc Hackett, playing Chaos Space Marine 60 possessed. He is pretty much only dropped 6 points for the event. I mean, what a slacker. He got a 94 and then 3 tons, 3 100s, and he's playing against Mr. Matt Morrisoli.
That is Liam's attempt at submarining, dropping 6 points. That is the best he could do. That's the best he could do for a submarine.
Could not muster any more chill. He exists at constant sub-zero temperatures. Mr. Matt Morrisoli playing Chaos. We got a Chaos off on the top table. One of them being pure CSM, the other one being mostly Demons with some CSM goodness. But he is sitting on 354 with 3 good solid point wins. All of them being 90, except for the last one being a 74. What's on our second table?
On our second table, mate, we are looking at the game of the day. Shane Condy with Tyranids up against Shane Miller with the Adeptus Custodes. The chat's been going off. They want Tyranids. They want Custodes. We didn't have to go find them because they are here on table 2.
Dude, legit. Like last round, the rounds before, we went and found a town player, went and found a Custodes player. I shouldn't have bothered with the Custodes player. We can't keep them off the damn stream. They're just doing so well. Last one to round this out, we have a Space Marine off. The Jerigold. Mr. Jeremy Marigold himself, with 4 wins, playing a very strong Deathwatch army. Admittedly, might not be the strongest Deathwatch army out there, but he is so proficient with it, it does not matter. He's playing against Jane Hansen, playing his Salamanders, coming down from the wild, recluse portions of Queensland, who have been able to live kind of untampered by COVID in many ways and shapes and forms. So he is quite proficient with his list also. We'll jump into our 4 table screen for you guys momentarily. I'll give you guys a quick look at where and what state of game we are in for some of these players. Some guys, they started a couple of minutes ago. We wanted to join you during deployment prior to the first turns taking place. And yeah, this mission is Scorched Earth. Do you have that available right there? If you don't, I'll run you through it in a second.
Yeah, I'll get it up for us. If you want to have a chat for the boys, I will.
Yeah, six objective mission, Dawn of War deployment. And the big deal here is that the secondary is bad. The secondary is one where you need to hold one of your opponent's objectives through their entire turn, and then you raise that one to the ground and you get 6 points. So it's very, very hard to do, and I doubt anybody on these tables has got the cojones to commit themselves to what will be either a big win or a big loss play such as that. But yeah, so what I need to know though is this is a hold 1. I believe it's a hold 2, hold more, because the one, of course, you get to.
It is a
yourself.
Control 1 or more objectives, Control 2 or more objectives. So
even
though there are 6 objectives, it's still just a hold more. So there is an abundance of primary points available here to both players.
Yes, I really expect a lot of primary scoring from all the armies on this table. The only ones that might be hampered a little bit is the Custodes, depending on how much they have to leave back in order to maintain that primary. They're playing against the Tyranids, and of course we saw them mess with their opponents' primary to great effect versus Harlequins, who are the masters of disruption in and of themselves. So that's going to be a really interesting game. That might be once again our game of the match. I expect the Demons on Chaos Army game to be either decided very quickly, either because both of them commit and one of them gets killed like in 2 turns, or they play a very standoffish defensive style game where not a lot happens, which is exactly what we saw happen in the Masters. So for those of you unaware or didn't see the Normal Blokes streaming on our Twitch channel, the final for the Australian Masters this year, which happened the day prior to this event starting, was Matt Morrisoli versus Liam Hackett. And what occurred in that game was they both deployed defensively away from each other. They both picked exactly the same secondaries. Of course, they wrote them down without prior knowledge. And then Liam went second. And they mathed it out. They worked it out inside, back to front, and realized no matter what Matt did, Liam was probably going to win by 5 points. Because he had the bottom of turn, he was going to have a warp time, sling of one unit, possibly even a good advance and charge from another unit, and he was going to take away one of Matt's primaries and get a 15-point turn, and that was going to clinch the game. So they played it out despite that, and Matt did some things he probably wouldn't have done otherwise because he had that knowledge, and Liam did the same. And it was a concede turn 3 because Matt he had a bunch of while we stand with 5 points. He could have conserved for the end of the game and only lost by 5 points. But it was a knockout being the Masters, so it really didn't matter how much you won or lost by. So Matt decided to go for it, threw all his wildest stand with fight units out there to try and make them do damage, and then in the return they both got eaten, and he called it. There was no longer any possibility or avenue of victory that he could foresee. People in the chat, let us know which of these games you'd like us to jump into and have a look for first. Got Mr. Michael Swain joining us again, Sam Dutney, legend of the Victorian community, and of course the amazing Joshua Diffie, the Emperor, if you say, the Omnisire of the back end and the data analysis of competitive 40k. Sanguinarius has asked, does this tournament play Mission 23 or exclude it? I'm not actually sure. I might actually tell you that in the break and see what they have to say. Michael Swain
that's the scaring there, Adam. That mission.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I'm not sure if they have. I'm not sure if they're going to play the scaring. It might be the last one today, or it might not get played at all. Michael Swain has said all these lists have either speed or a lot of board control. And yeah, do you agree with that? Do you agree with that statement, Nick?
Occasionally. I don't know. Liam can be fast. I guess he has a couple of little war times there, so he can be fast. He can be, but majority isn't fast, and he relies a lot on tendering back to his characters that he's got there for buffs and holding multiple objectives with single units. So I'd say he doesn't quite have the speed. Custodes versus Nids. Neither of those armies are necessarily fast. We saw the Tyranid player, which is coming up on our screen now. He mostly relied on his durability, and his throwaway units. So he had those little gribblies that he had, throwing them out, allowing them to die, and just keeping the big monsters alive and racking up points the whole time. The Custodes, obviously, we know they are as slow as Australian internet. They ain't getting anywhere fast. They have a few deep strike options, being Dread Host, which we saw them use a great effect against both knights. The Venatari have a bit of speed, but yeah, I would say both these armies are quite immobile.
Yeah, and fair call. Do you want to run through the Custodes list while we've got it up on this screen? We've just transitioned into that game for those at home. As you can see, looks like they've already had a turn 1 by the Nids. I assume they're moving up into the left quadrant of the board, being backed up by a lot of their big gribblies. Have you got the Custodes list up for us, brother? Really willing to reel it off?
I do, mate. We'll run through that again. So as I mentioned earlier, it is a Dread Host. Doing some deep strike shenanigans there. They have a shield captain. He is on foot. He has a radiant mantle, a sentinel blade, and a storm shield, and 10,000 heroes. We have a shield captain on Dawn Evil jet bike. He has all of the broken nonsense that you come to expect. He has the unstoppable destroyer rather than the 2 wounds, which seems to be the only 2 variances we find on that unit. Sagittarian Custodians. He has 5 of them in a unit. And then elites-wise, he has a unit of 6 Alaris. He has a Vexillus Praetor with the Vexilla Magnifica. He has a single Palace Grav attack cannon. And then he has a unit of 5 Venatari. Rounding out his list, doing the heavy hitting here, he has 2 Telemon heavy dreadnoughts with a fist and a gun on each.
That's the
and
storm,
we saw in the previous...
Cannon, yeah?
Yeah, that's it, man. So we saw in the previous game he was able to use one of them to great effect. He dropped it mid-table sort of and pushed it forward early. So that's definitely something I do not expect to see him do here. What about you, Adam?
Yeah, I don't expect him to see him do it here. Obviously, with the small bugs being what they are, there's a very good possibility that he could be able to zone off and play defensively enough that those dreads would just go into things like gaunts, in which case they would be totally wasted, and then they'd cop probably a hellacious amount of firepower from things like Exocrine's Hive Guard and barbed Hierodule goodness. But let's jump over and talk about that Nid list for you. I'll run it down for you guys pretty quickly, as we did it before in the last game, and I'm assuming many of you are joining from the last game. He has a High Fleet Leviathan Battalion. He has a Broodlord and a Malanthrope, 2 units of 20 Termagants, each one having half Devourers, half Flesh Borers, 3 units of 3 Tyranid Warriors with just Scything Talons. So I'm actually quite a fan of this. This is 51 points of literally just offset grabbing stuff, but it's kind of the only thing you can put in like terrain on an objective and with any kind of confidence it's going to be there next turn for Tyranids. So I actually do quite like their addition here. He has a single Lictor. He has a Maliceptor. I honestly have no idea why the Maliceptor is here, because for my mind, it's never heard of your model. It never does anything, but it's pretty sweet, and I hope it goes God mode this game. He has a Barbed Hero with Adaptive Psiology, that being the Dermic Symbiosis, so that is a 5+ invulnerable save. Then has a Tyrannifex with Acid Spray with the same 5+ invulnerable save also. Then has a Patrol Attachment to round things out, that is High Fleet Cronus, a Neurothrope, unit of 3 Rippers, 5 Hive Guard, 3 Biovores, and an Exocrine. Pretty big fan of this list. I've got to go out on a limb and say it's not the best Tyranid list out there. I feel like it's trying to do a little bit too much. But man, he used it really well last game. The big Gribblies are big and they are imposing and they can get a lot of work done. But at the same time, they're just kind of not that scary. Apart from the Hero and the Exocrine, nothing really does a hellacious amount of damage. I mean, double shooting Hive Guard, of course, do what they do. But I kind of like some of the elements here in this matchup. He does have the ability to bomb in a fair amount of mortal wounds with things like the Biovore's double shooting, which is probably the best ability he has to really kill Custodes en masse. That plus like an Exocrine or the Barbed Hero doubling down can really do quite a bit of damage here, there, and everywhere. But the
definitely right there.
You go, mate.
And if we go down and we start having a look at their, if we have a look at their secondaries, this might actually tell a bit of a tale of how we expect to see this Tyranid form its bit of a game here. So he's gone for engage on all fronts, which is no real surprise. We expect him to spam out and get the board and try and sit on majority of the objectives, make it difficult for the Custodes to take them. He's gone for deploy scramblers. We know he's got the Lictor. He's got a few little gaunts that he likes to spread around. He took that in the previous game and used that to great effect. A different one he's taken this down is While We Stand We Fight. So he's obviously of the opinion that the Custodes can't deal with some of these bigger bugs here. He thinks that he's going to be able to protect them. We did see him do that to great effect in the previous game, and he was able to keep majority of his big bugs alive. So that's an interesting choice, and it'll be good to see how it plays out. Did you want to run through the Custodes secondaries for us there, Adam?
Yeah, we'll do in a second. I'm just going to double check what those While We Stands are. It's the 5 Hive Guard, the Tyrannifex, and the Barbed Hero. So of course if the Hive Guard are getting charged or shot by Custodes, you're probably pretty cooked. Like the game has gone pretty south for you. But the Barbed Hero and the Tyrannifex are 2 key pieces he's going to have to use if he really wants to do a lot of damage here. So I expect those to be up the board and doing a bit. Quick call of the game. We've got a Telemon making his way down the right hand side of the table. He's currently screening for his Unstoppable Destroyer Shield Captain as well. He's going to be getting some pot shots down, probably just chucking Specular's missile launches and the rapid fire or the multi-shot from his Storm Cannon into those Termagants, trying to get some inroads there. It also looks like he's moved his unit of Sagittarium up pretty aggressively into that ruin. They've got that's a really good position for them to be in, so they can be blocked from line of sight from what's facing him in the front, usually the big Gribblies. We'll also be able to put the majority of their fire into the Termagants also. It also looks like there could be a Termagant within an inch of that wall, e.g. he could charge into that guy while staying inside the ruin and retaining his 1+ save, which is pretty significant as there is a lot of Tyranid guns that don't have an amazing amount of rend, like e.g. like the only thing that has like rend 3 or better is kind of the Exocrine, although I'm not 100% sure what the Barbed Hero guns are. They could be like Rupture Cannons as well, being like rend 3 or rend 4. I'm sure someone in the chat will let us know. But what can you see here? What's the secondaries for the Custodes look like?
Okay, these are quite similar to what he's taken before. So he's gone with engage on all fronts, which I like to take as a Custodes player. The Palace Grav Tank's obviously great at getting that. He's definitely going to be holding the bottom 2. I don't know if it's good against the Tyranids. Obviously, the Tyranids are going to have a lot of board control here, especially going after these six objectives here. So this is probably one I wouldn't have taken engage on all fronts. He's gone with While We Stand We Fight, which is I would bet my house that is the number 1 pick by all Custodes players. That is the go-to for everyone. And he's gone with Raise the Banners. Also, I like that as well. He can get some early banners up and hopefully hold up the Tyranids. But I guess in saying that, if the Gaunts are to survive, they will be able to outnumber the OBSEC on the objective quite easily.
Yeah, 100%. Interesting to know that I think the Alaris and the Venatari are both in reserve. I'm seeing just the Sagittarium, the 2 Telemons, and the Shield Captain on the board right now. Would there be anything else that you would assume would be hiding on this table?
I don't think so. That seems to be all of his units. Just want to point out the Sagittarium that he's got on the left there. For my mind, they're just a touch too close to those Gaunts. I would have preferred to see them maybe just on the other side of the objective there, just be able to use their guns a bit better, because you're obviously about 12 inches there, so they're going to get tagged. They're going to get assaulted there, and those Sagittarium are going to be tied up. Then they're not going to want to be there.
Yeah. So how many attacks does Sagittarium get? They've got 3 base or 4 base, and
they'd have 3 each.
Mm-hmm. Has he taken recordings on him? He has taken 2. So they've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16, 17 attacks, hitting on 2s, winning on 3s. It still might be enough of a deterrent to not want those Gauls to go in, but the fact is that it would also mess with his opponent's primary. So to my mind, I don't think he charges the Sagittarium. I think he just runs straight past him and takes away that primary score, right?
Yeah. Well, I think I would tie them up personally just to be able to get into combat with them there. And just to wind down a couple of turns with them. It sounds like it's easy to keep those Sagittarium alive, but it can get quite annoying there, just having to keep rolling those 2-ups consistently.
And yeah, man, you would know better than me. I haven't played nearly as many Custodes games as you. But yeah, the only other thing that's unaccounted for to my mind, I believe it's more than likely that we have a Vexilla either in with the Edge of Sagittarium, to the left with one of the Telemons, or all the way in the right in the blue Ruin. Could be in any of those positions. On top of that, we've also got a Palace Grav tank that is somewhere on this board. Never heard of him, no idea where he is. Could be bloody anywhere. Could also be in reserve, although you can't reserve it without using CP, which I'm of the opinion he probably doesn't want to do. I assume...
If I was a betting man, which sometimes I am, on the right-hand side, I would say the Palace Grav tank would be there on the right-hand side, giving him a bit of board control, being able to shoot out, and probably on the left-hand side would where you would find that Vexilla, giving him some deep strike options for that 3-inch deep strike off the Vexilla with his units in reserve.
Well, it would make a lot of sense to me if... So just looking at the board state and how things are, admittedly, like right now, the most advantageous piece of play for where the Vexilla would be on the left, taking care of that Telemon, keeping it shielded. But man, if it is on the right, it would be a big reason why we haven't seen the Nid player make any inroads up that side. He's still in his deployment zone, as a matter of fact. Mostly because anything pushed up there, if that Vexilla is up on the top right, would just get absolutely mauled by the Alaris on the return. So that could be why he's having a bit of a stable flank on that side. Admittedly, like, there's still like a bloody Telemon and a Shield Captain over there to contend with. But see, he's doing what I thought he was going to do. He's going to move in advance. He's going to go and try and take that top left-hand objective away from his opponent, which is a pretty tidy play. Whether he still does the charge as well, we will see. Maybe he needs an onslaught now that he's got the advance, or maybe he's going to dive up some stuff inside that Ruin. In addition, he's got a Broodlord backing up that unit. Looks like he's pretty exposed right now. I'd love to see that drop back behind the Hero Jewel, or go into the crates on the inside of those bunkers and just be able to sling itself forward later. Because as it is right now, that guy is pretty exposed. Yep, he's going for a dive. There's three Tyranids warriors working their way up on the left-hand flank. We can barely see them there. They're going to get supported by that Broodlord. They're going to go try and tag and wrap a Telemon. I'm not sure I like that play. Do you like that play? That seems pretty suicidal to me.
Yeah, it looks like... Well, yeah, it's pretty suicidal, but I think what it'll do, and this is why I think it is important that he tags those Sagittarium, is that it gives Shane complete board control. So Shane does not have very many units on the table, and if those are tied up in combat and he's not able to shoot any targets, he will be able to make sure that he is getting that 15 points on while we stand. And he is going to be able to determine where his units are, where they are on the table at all times. So I'm liking it. I'm liking the play from the Tyranids. George has pointed out the Dreadhosts don't need to teleport Homer. They can use the Dreadhost 3d6 charge straight. Yeah, that's true, George. But what the teleport Homer allows them to be within 3 inches of enemy units, so it allows them to get into a tighter spot. And while the actual charge range itself doesn't get affected, it actually lets you get into a spot that your opponent may not think you're going to get into.
So I wouldn't be using it to ensure you make the charge. I'd be using it to go as deep as possible into the Tyranid lines and start making plays for these backfield and big Gribblies. Things like the Malicept, that's going to be one of the only things that's really stopping the Telerons from just smashing things to bits. Also, the Exocrine and the Biovores. The Biovores seem to me to be the thing that might do the most damage. Double shooting Biovores every turn. Plus you're doing 4 or even say 5 D3 mortal wounds depending on how good you roll. Those things seem excessive and will be very punitive to things like Custodes that is a super ultra elite army. We're seeing a bit of a stream of Gaunts into the right hand side now. They're going to be holding down. I think they want to distract this Telemon. He would love the Telemon to go and get stuck on those Gaunts and not go deeper into his lines. Say, go for that Tyrannifex in the middle of the table. 100%, he should go towards those Gaunts, but he should just shoot them and then try and charge the Tyrannifex if he was in range. If he's not in range, just go into the Gaunts. Use that as a pivot point. Does his Shield Captain have a Hurricane Bolter? He does have a Hurricane Bolter. So between the Telemon and the Shield Captain, how many Gaunts do you reckon they kill?
A good chunk. I think they whittle them down all the way, either from the back, that back objective, all the way to the top. They're going to get them. They should be able to shoot them off one of those objectives there, so they won't be able to hold 2. Like I've said earlier, I think that Palace of Grav tank is in that blue building, so there could be a bit of a play here by Shane to try and get those Gaunts out, because he obviously won't be able to kill all of those Gaunts there with the Captain and the Telemon. So whether or not he can get that Palace out, where he forces him to get that Palace out to wipe off that unit and actually gets him off that objective. That'll be interesting to see if that's the case.
Yeah, exactly right. I was thinking there might be a play here for the shield captain to dive it down into the bottom and charge those Tyranid warriors on objective 6, while the Telemon shoots and goes into the ones in front. The issue there would be that then if they did do that, because I think that would be a pretty good play for messing with his opponent's primary, if he did do that, he'd leave himself wholly exposed to things like the Exocrine, and he would be really unprotected. Admittedly, maybe he's okay with that. Maybe the Exocrine shooting into the things like the Sagittarium, it's better him to shoot and maybe waste his shots into the 3+ invuln save on the shield captain, but geez, if he spikes and kills him, that would be a really big loss. But we're going to transition. I'll just hit the transition button. We're going to be heading over to the Marine on Marine Love Fest, or Hate Fest, as you want to say, the Salamanders versus the Deathwatch. Mr. Marigold versus Mr. Hansen. So this looks pretty interesting to me already. As we can see, we got the Salamanders, we got the grey Salamanders on the bottom of the table. I'll quickly run through. So did I send you Jay's list? I sent you Jay's list. Do you want to have a quick read through Jay's list? I'm going to have to give these guys a kick up their caboose as well for not updating their primaries and secondaries and keeping that going. A little bit frustrating, boys. You should know better, but there we are.
Man, well, while you get your karate chop action out and sort that problem out, I will run through this Salamander list. So we have 2 detachments here. We have a chaplain, we have catechism on fire of him, and a restitution of focus. So he is on a jump pack as well, and he is a master of sanctity. Elites wise, he has 5 Blade Guard vets, and he has 2 units of 6 Blade Guard vets. So he's gone all in on the Blade Guards there. Fast attack wise, he has 3 units of Inceptors. We haven't seen them being played too often lately, so it'd be good to see them and at full force with 3 units of them. After that, he has another detachment. He has a captain on a bike with a Power Fist, Rights of War, Storm Shield, Exemplar of Creed, and the Salamander's Mantle. Troops-wise in there, he has an Intercessor squad, and then he has more Blade Guard. Is that correct? So this looks like he is running 2 units. So all up, he has 3 units of Blade Guard vets and a Primaris Apothecary with the Chief Apothecary Selfless Healer upgrade on that.
So yeah, you've run through this bad boy already. 3 units, 3 units of Blade Guard, 3 units of Inceptors. There's not much fat on this thing. It just deals the pain. It's going to be really interesting to see how Jeremy deals with this. It's everything in his army is a hard nut to crack. So jumping over to Jeremy's, you also see that everything in his army is a hard nut to crack. There might be some telling points here. I just want to have a quick look at a few bits and pieces. Is there rights of battle in Mr. Hansen's list? I'm just going to have a quick look. Mantle. He has rights of war, yeah. Of course, he has that on his his captain on bike. Jumping over to the Jeremy Marigold's list. He has a battalion of Deathwatch, a Primaris chaplain on bike, Master of Sanctity, of course. Wise Orator, Vigilus Incarnate, Vigilant Master, -1 CP, Beacon Angelus, Litany of Hate, Canticle of Hate, Recitation of Focus. He has a Librarian. He has a full sword, Premorphic Resonance, and Fortified with Contempt, that being the 5+ Feel No Pain one, which is very important to know. Then he has the Tome of the Ectoclades, as he likes to say, or Ectoclades for us humans who don't say things ridiculously. He has an extra war trait, Paragon of the Chapter, and Adept of the Codex from Ultramarine, so he's going to be regenning CP. He's going to Deathwatch Veterans. This is a Proteus kill team. 1, 2, 3, 4 Combi Flamers and Storm Shields in that unit, and then 1, 2, 3 guys with Chainswords and Combi Flamers in addition. He has a Watch Sergeant, which has Artificer Armor, Sanctions of the Black Vault, -1 CP. He also has a Chainsword, a Combat Shield, and Deathwatch Combi Flamers. So that's 5 Combi Flamers in that unit. I'll tell you right now, they are usually in that drop pod, which we've seen come down. And looks like they've done a bit of work there. Next, he has another Proteus kill team. This one has a Deathwatch Terminator. He has 4 Deathwatch Terminators, sorry. 2 Cyclone Missile Launchers in there. Sorry, 3 Cyclone Missile Launchers in there. 2 of them having Thunderhammers and Sword Shields. And then he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Deathwatch Veterans, including the Sergeant, all having Deathwatch Bolt Guns and Storm Shields in addition. And then he has another Proteus kill team. This one having a Black Shield with an Astartes Chainsword and a Lightning Claw. 1, 2... Oh, sorry, only 1 Terminator. Interesting. Only 1 Terminator with Thunderhammer, Storm Shield, Teleport Homer. 1, 2, 3 Deathwatch Veterans with Deathwatch Bolt Guns and Storm Shields. 3 Vanguard Veterans with Lightning Claws and Storm Shields. And 1 Veteran Biker, of course, with a Chainsword and Bolt Gun. And then another Watch Sergeant, of course, Storm Shield, Astartes Bolt Gun. Sorry, Deathwatch Bolt Gun. There's another one of those exact one I just read out. He's got another one. So this is 40. This is 40 Deathwatch veterans, all with a menagerie of different things.
Deathwatch are hard to read.
It's reading a novel. Then he has a Spectrus kill team, 4 Infiltrators, and 4 Reavers. With an infiltrator sergeant, yeah. So, sorry, 1 Incursor, 4 infiltrators, 4 Reavers. And he has Apothecary with the armor and Dominus. He has not upgraded this Apothecary, so it is just what it is. And then there's 2 units of Vanguard veterans with 3 Lightning Cores, 3 Storm Shields, and a couple of Mooks. Then he has a Drop Pod. So, big, chunky, old list. Now, interesting one between these two, apart from the bubble of OBSEC coming off from that captain, the OBSEC battle is really, really clearly in the Deathwatch favour. And this objective, I think, favours Jeremy, especially if he's willing to combat squad a bunch of his veterans. Like, he can very well sit that unit with the 3 Cyclone missile launchers on objective 1, split out the other unit, push that one up the table, get a lot of work done. I can safely probably say here that Jeremy went first, and we're seeing the response come in from Mr. Hansen. And whether this is, I believe this is probably in shooting, he's probably got some Inceptors doing some DACA into that Drop Pod and Combi Flamer unit. Either that or there's a couple of units that we can't see. It's actually going to be annoying on this table. Just going to put it out there. This has got a lot of stuff on this table. It might be a bit hardest to draw a bean on a lot of things that are going on, especially being Marine on Marine. But Mr. Marigold is deployed to the top. Mr. Hansen is deployed to the bottom. What are you seeing, Nick? And what do you think of this matchup?
Man, I'm pumped. This is probably one of the ones that I'm most excited for. We've had a lot of American guys in the chat recently, the last couple of days, and they've been saying we're not seeing a lot of Marines. And this is probably the archetype. Why Salamanders probably isn't the main pick, probably White Scars. This sort of 18 Inceptor list with a bunch of Blade Guard vets, with a couple of smashy captains, no troops at all. This is the type of stuff we've seen in the States doing really well. And so far, up until right now, it's done really well. So it'd be good to see how Jeremy matches into it. We know Jeremy is probably one of the best players in Victoria, let alone probably one of the best players in Australia, up against Jay Hansen, who's one of the better players we have up here. He was in the Masters as well. So it's going to be good to see. Jay's had a lot of reps under his belts recently. We've mentioned, you and I have mentioned earlier that the Queensland boys have been able to do a lot more sparring, basically. We've been able to get out due to less COVID restrictions here, play more tournament games, get some higher level of games under our belts where yourself, Soli, Jeremy, all the sort of boys that we've seen in Victoria, they haven't been able to do that. So they don't have quite as many reps under their belt as the Queensland boys do. So it'd be good for Jeremy here to see if he can get the big win up against Jay.
Yeah, agree. It'll be a good feather in the cap for either of these gentlemen, no matter who wins. This is a pretty top tier matchup, two very, very, very good armies. I think everyone's admitting this probably isn't the final version Deathwatch unit, especially with the heavy intercessors not being available. There's a lot of differences that can come through with this. Really enjoying what he's done with the Spectrous kill team as well. It's actually a really powerful unit for the jank factor it brings. Guerrilla tactics being available to it if you split it, and also the Ravens being able to do all the turn off Overwatch shenanigans in addition to a bunch of other nice cool things. But unfortunately, they just don't do that much damage. They exist very well, but that's about it. They are playing on the clock, which I'm a fan of. I think it's good. That's the first game we've seen on the clock to this event. I'd love to see a few more, just for the transparency for us and our viewers. But as for the secondaries, I'll go over the Jerigold, the Mr. Marigold's army. He's got Engage in all fronts. He's already scored 2 points at that. Oath of Moment and Raise the Banners. Interesting that he hasn't made a play for Oath of Moment as of yet. Raising the banners does make a lot of sense to me. He has a lot of OBSEC. He has a lot of ability to pick those banners up and to not have them pulled down due to the lack of OBSEC by his opponent. So that is I think that's a very confident pick. Oath of Moment, that's an interesting one. So he's got no vehicles to kill. So that's literally exist in the middle and don't fall back. I feel like that's actually kind of difficult to do against this Salamanders army. It might be a mistake there, seeing as he has a lot of low range, high output melee attacks. So maybe something like While We Stand We Fight would have been a better pick when you combat your Proteus kill team, so they're much harder to get both points off. That might have been a better one, but I think Oath of Moment and While We Stand exist in the same one. So we'll see which one that might have been better. You want to read out Jane Hansen's secondaries, mate?
No worries at all, man. So Jay Hansen piloting this Salamanders list here. He has gone for Domination, he has gone for Oath of Moment, and he has gone for Raise the Banners. So we are seeing a very similar game here from both players. Domination, it almost cancels out Engage on all fronts. They're also very similar. The way that the objectives are spread out, it's also going to have to. He's going to have to be on all sort of quarters as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see how all of these play out. It's going to buck yourselves in, everyone, because this is going to be a very tight game.
I think Domination is an incorrect pick by Jay Hansen. I don't want to call it too early. Maybe he's got some better plans than what
You've called it at round one, so you've called it early.
Yeah, but
I think you're right though, Adam. I definitely think you're right.
He's got an army with very limited OBSEC versus an army that is literally all OBSEC and playing Domination, which means you're committed to trying to control 4 of 6 objectives. It's a really big ask, guys. I don't know if that's going to pay out. Oath of Moment, of course, undeniable. You always want to go for it. Raise the banners as well, I think, is a good pick for both players also. I think the ability to get 10 points on raise the banners is pretty it's just unlikely Marines versus Marines, you're going to have your backboard threatened considerably. Got a little bit of buffering going on my end, Nick. Can you hear me all right?
Especially with the amount of objectives we're seeing.
You want to talk for a minute, Nick? I'm pretty sure I'm buffering.
Yeah, no, you're breaking up a little bit, but it's not too bad. Just power through it, mate. You're doing well. Yeah, no worries. All right. Well, just while we got you, I'm just noticing a few little conversations going in the chat there. We've got Matthew Bombard joining us. He is actually being coached by Eric Lathoris, and he has actually won a GT, I do believe, with those sisters under the coaching of Eric. So if you want to be like Matthew Bombard and you want to destroy your local scene and win GTs and conquer the world, get in touch with the Art of War. Get some coaching services from guys like Eric Lathoris, Nick Dunavati themselves, and you too can start destroying the world.
That's right. It's for people who want to watch the world burn, of course. Talk a little bit about our sponsors, if you can hear me okay, Nick.
Yeah, I can, mate. I can.
Beautiful. This event is being sponsored and assisted by Best Coast Pairings in a lot of different ways. We're lucky enough to have the support of the amazing Joshua Diffie, the magician of streaming and of all things 40K. Best Coast Pairings is the premier mobile application for running Swiss-style gaming tournaments. Simply put, the best tournament experience. Over 2020, we've made some exciting changes to BCP with the merging of Best Coast Pairings and Down Under Pairings. Joshua Diffie has joined the dev team and has built out a number of cool new features, including the stream assets you're looking at today, the live scoreboards, the clock, all these things have been built in thanks to Best Coast Pairings and have been made available to us for us to showcase to you guys the very first time, round times, event places, all powered by BCP. If you're looking at running an event, BCP is the tool for you. BCP has sponsored this event, so you don't need to sub to look at the lists. Please go over to Best Coast Pairings and look at those lists if you please. There is a link in the description below if you would like to check out those ones. So thank you very much, BCP, for your support, and thank you very much, Joshua Diffie, for all the hard work you do to make my streaming life so much easier. You there, Nick?
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, mate, I am, and I'm just going to have a chat about Knights of Dice, a great sponsor that we have locally in Victoria. Good mates of your guys down there, good mates of ours. They are specialising in laser cut products. Knights of Dice focus on developing a premium range of products, ensuring the majority of their kits have incredible levels of detail that are produced on the finest laser cutters available. In addition to amazing MDF terrain, they also have an amazing range of army carry cases, which I personally use myself, and with a range of different foam options. If you play this hobby, there is no better case that you can have. So for those of you that are sitting at home, jump on, have a look at their website, pick yourself up some amazing gear, and you're able to use our Art of War coupon. So go into the code there and type in Art of War or capitals and get yourself 15% off some of their amazing stuff.
You're absolutely right. Next one, we'll go with Smoky Pastures Barbecue. I just had their amazing food for lunch.
You're making me jealous. You are making me jealous.
Oh, dude, it was legit. The brisket was fan-freaking-tabulous. So they catered for this event on the Sunday. Napier, the TO of this event, is trying to convince them next year to cater for the entire event. Might be too much to ask. Who knows? But Smoky Pastures Barbecue team was formed in 2018, comprised of Dom Damon, ex-Australian ETC player, and Matthew Knowles. They're putting some catering for the event, which everyone is super excited to see, in addition to putting on a barbecue that actually compete in barbecue and other related things of that ilk. So these are some premier meat smokers, and I am a big fan of what they do. I'm quite a full sleepy boy today. I'm trying to stay perked up with the addition of juicy tea. But what else have we got there, man, sponsorship-wise?
Man, we have Dragon's Lair in Salisbury. So they are a board game, trading card game, and miniature gaming store located in Salisbury, Adelaide. They run weekly events for Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Digimon, Warhammer, and more. Dragon's Lair is a sponsor of the event itself, providing private support. So whoever's going to take out this event will actually be taking out some amazing products from Dragon's Lair itself. So if you are in South Australia, or even if you're not, just jump on their website, grab yourself some more gear, hit open another tab while you're buying yourself a table of terrain from Knights of Dice. Get some miniatures from Dragon Lairs to play them on with your Knights of Dice models. Support both companies.
Absolutely. Our last sponsor that we'll talk about right now, I might talk about a bit about podcasts and a bit about Art of War in general a little bit later. But the Normal Blokes podcast, they are lovingly and happily supported us in this endeavor. They were happy enough and loving enough to stream the Oz Masters so I could play and get knocked out in round one, but it wasn't that good. But the Masters was fantastic, and thank you very much to them for the high quality content they're able to produce. Normal Blokes is a 40K podcast that is Brisbane based. Dedicated to improving the competitive 40k experience. We talk local events, meta, list building, tactics, and hobby. The hosts are Luke Pierce, Denise Langhammer, Jordan Bennett, and Liam Hackett. Hopefully, I got Jordan's surname right. But anyway, back to the game. We're gonna transition over.
You definitely did, mate. But just before you go off the normal blokes, I just want to mention that we actually have 3 of them in the top 10 currently. So we have Liam, Luke, and Jordan himself. All 3 of them are sitting in the top 10.
Wow, damn good showing by these gents. We're going to be switching over from the Marigold and Hansen game over to our top table game. We've kind of held away from seeing this one because I just want to see what these guys are going to do. But my God, look at this. This is Liam Hackett versus Matt Morrisoli. This is our top table game. The 2 highest scored undefeating players. I'm of the opinion this probably means Matt is going second. You've seen a big skew and possibly a warp time by the... Actually, can you see, is there anything in combat on the left-hand side? Is that a unit of Terminators in combat with the Possessed on the left-hand side of the table?
In the center there?
It's a Keeper of
definitely
Secrets.
Something there.
It is a Keeper of Secrets, my man.
Yeah, there's definitely a big base, and then there's some smaller blue models there on the left-hand side of it.
Yeah, they don't quite look like his Terminators. I can see one unit of Terminators, that's a unit of Bone Terminators behind his line of Beast there. I can't see the other one. I'd be very surprised if he did deploy both on the table, but I'm not quite sure what could be in front of the Keeper of Secrets on that flank. That's a little interesting tidbit we might get a look at later. But I'm of the opinion that Matt's probably gone first, moved up a keeper down the left-hand flank. Either that or that keeper is charged in response to what would be an incursion by the Possessed up into the top left-hand corner. If you can see, he's actually placed those Possessed in a pretty interesting way. They're actually tagging that middle left-hand side objective, and he's skewed onto the right-hand side objective as well. I'll quickly run you through Mr. Morrisoli's list, and then I'll hit it over to you, my man Nick, to jump through on your boy, the Queenslanders, Liam Hackett's list. Mr. Matt Morrisoli is playing a Demons Patrol, which is mixed. He's got a lot of change. It's the unkillable lot of change. Don't need to say much more there. He has the Impossible Robe, etc., etc. And Warlord trait in corporeal form. 2x5 Beasts of Nurgle with 3 Nurglings. And then he has a Slanesh Demons Patrol in addition. 2 Keepers of Secrets. And 10 Demonettes, and then he has a Chaos Emperor's Children Chaos Space Marine Patrol as well. Chaos Sorcerer, 10 Cultists, 10 Terminators. All those Terminators come with Combi Bolters, Lightning Claws, Marcus Slanesh. One of them has 2 Ripple Autocannons, one has 1, and both have the Icon of Excess in addition. So, the total sum there, 1 Big Bird, 2 Keepers of Secrets, 10 Beasts of Nurgle, and 20 Chaos Terminators. Really good list. It's going the distance so far. Very, very strong. We'll see how it does a little bit deeper into things. But, Nick, you want to take us through Mr. Hackett's list?
Yeah, man, no doubt most people know it by now. He has hogged the stream majority of the weekend here. He has greedily sat on table 1 majority of the time through both tournaments. So let's give you a quick rundown. He has a Word Bearers Legion. HQ-wise, he has a Dark Apostle. He has a Master of Possession and a Sorcerer rounding out the HQ. Troops-wise, he has 3 units of 10 Cultists. Then, in the first elite slot, he has 20 Possessed, then again 20 Possessed, then again 20 Possessed. All 3 of them are Slanesh and have horrifying mutations. After that, he has a Patrol Detachment with a Slanesh Chaos Alliance. He has 10 Demonettes in that, and they are HQ of... So we tried to get this right now. Now I'm too worried about it. It's
Celesk.
Celesk, that's it. That's Celesk. All right, so that is his list. And let's go through the secondaries we have here. So for Liam himself, he has gone with Raise the Banners. He has gone with While We Stand, We Fight. And he has gone with Domination.
Yeah, a good pick by Liam. I think Raise the Banners in this mission makes all the sense in the world. We saw he did struggle in a couple of the earlier turns to make any decent inroads on Raise the Banners because his opponent was able to play against his raising abilities. But he had a huge skew on the last turn of the game, was able to get up to the 15. I think scoring 8 points on Raise Banners on the last turn of the game, being that turn 5 as you store at the start and at the end. Domination, I think, makes sense to him. He has got the board supremacy. I think his stuff is a lot harder to... Also, his stuff is a lot killy and almost as hard to kill fully buffed as the meat and potatoes of his opponent's army, that being the Possessed and things like the the Terminators. While we stand, we fight is an interesting pick. Like, so that's all the 3 units of possessed, but he has been taking that
Possessed.
pretty consistently, and don't know if he's lost a whole unit of possessed yet for this event, let alone this game. We already can see Matt Morrisoli working out a bit of his deployment for what I would assume is one of his Terminator bombs coming down from reserve. It might be getting an auto charge onto the left-hand side of this table into those possessed. It would be a big thing for Matt to get get one of these possessed units down early. As you can see, it was pointed out by Eric that small unit of guys in front of the keeper were actually Nurglings. So they have fallen back, which I think is a pretty good call. And they're falling back in there because for Mr. Matt Morrisoli, his secondaries are While We Stand, We Fight. So that is his 2 units of Possessed and his Lord of Change. Lord of Change is very hard to kill, but unfortunately not for this army. This Possessed, 1 unit of Possessed going into Lord of Change actually has decent odds to kill it as long as they roll anything bar 1 on the amount of attacks. Raise the Banners, that is a mirroring each other. They should get around about the same depending on who's got more board supremacy. Admittedly, Matt struggles a bit more with Raise the Banners. He's got a lot less infantry than Liam does, and then the last one being engaged on all fronts, hence the savvy use of the Nurglings. But so far, which way do you think this one's going, now that we know who went first, who went second?
Yeah, well, I was actually going to point out that Liam has the hot dice the majority of the time, but it seems to that he does not have the hot dice on going first. He seems to keep those low rolls for keeping the ability to go second in his pocket, so that's been working out for him so far. I'm liking the secondaries that I see from Liam. I know Liam, and you also know yourself, he scores high. He loves to score high. Yeah. Those 100 points are never really without of his reach. Raise the Banners and Domination, for me, I think they should probably be in the same category because you're basically performing the same tasks, sitting on objectives, moving around. So that's something obviously Liam's picked up on, and he knows that he can probably max out on both of those.
Yeah,
I don't see how Matt is going to be able to take off all 3 of those possessed. Probably maybe 1. He might be able to focus down 1 and get rid of them. So I can see Liam getting 10 there. So I can see Liam getting a very high score. So it's going to be the onus will be on Matt here to actually play and take some of these points off Liam. So we're going to have to see Liam get a bit of Chaos Demons in his face here.
Yeah, agreed. Just going to shout out to Chris Pearson, who's just said Adam with a lot of exclamation marks. There's my good man Pickles from the Greater Seattle, the Washington area. I love you, dude. Thank you so much for joining in. Really appreciate you being here. Gary Frank just asked if we can see how the NID player is going. We'll jump back to them momentarily after we finish the preliminary calls of this game. I just want to see where Matt is doing his movement phase before we move away. As for Eric Lewis, yes, Unfortunately, Matt has had to go second against Liam in both games, which I believe we will all agree means he's starting off on the back foot. You think going first, you start for the front foot, but in this kind of a game at this high level, just going first when you want to go second against a high-level opponent can be enough that you lose by a couple of points. Not much in it at this level. Chris has asked, or Pickles has asked, does Adam only dress in tank tops? For big events, yeah. I was wearing a t-shirt yesterday, and I'll probably be wearing a t-shirt tomorrow. But man, it's 41 degrees here today, so I ain't taking no chances. Are you ready to switch?
Australia, that is a formal shirt, that one.
This is formal. Like, I can go to a wedding wearing this, you know?
You're almost overdressed because you have the hat on as well.
I've got wearing a hat. It's outrageous. Yeah, but I'm OG'd up today. For those who don't know the journey that Mr. Joshua Diffie and I took together starting Down Under Network, which has turned into Art of War Down Under. These are the original symbols, the original merchandise we made, which is pretty much only owned by Josh and I. So I like to whip it out every now and then to pay homage from where we've come from and how far we have come in this kind of journey that he and I share together. So this is a little bit of a homage off the Diff to wear it every other day when I'm streaming. But yeah, this is an interesting one for Soli. I think he's got a bit more agency in this game than he did the last one. The Hammer and Anvil really stumped him last one because he just had this immovable wall of possessed he had to crash into. And I think on the math, he knows he lost that one pretty much every time. Whereas this one, he might have the opportunity to pinch it a bit more. I could see him putting a bit of a wall up of beasts, dropping dropping his other unit of Terminators behind that one and getting 2 rounds of shooting from them into the right unit of Possessed, and then just presenting this really imposing wall of beasts for him to chew through. Admittedly, a full unit of Possessed fully buffed does probably go through 5 beasts pretty comfortably, but they don't go through 10. I can tell you right now, they don't go through 10. So if he has had to get 2 rows or an unbroken line that he can't get through or get any wraps off against these possessed with the beast, that could be a pretty good play. Admittedly, the keeper is a very good model to anchor that flank if he does want to do that hard deny flank or that play. But yeah, I'm not seeing what he's doing just yet. He's still measuring out some 9-inch distances. He might want to just commit most of his
There's a lot
resources
of
on the
dice
left.
being dropped down.
Yeah, so he probably wants to stick to the left side of the table. The right flank for Liam Hackett's really powerful, isn't it? He's got 40 possessed there with all his characters, right?
Excuse me. Yeah, he's got a big counterpunch sitting there on that right-hand side, so that's not something that Sully wants to walk into there.
Yeah, so maybe he wants to invest everything he's got in wiping this leftmost unit of possessed. They are strung out pretty significantly, so when he does start taking up some wholesale challenges, he might find himself in some coherency issues, as we saw a little bit last game.
So do you think Sully's put that Lord of Change there on the left-hand side to sort of stop Liam from turning into the hammer and anvil style game that we see very often? Do you think that's the point of the Lord of Change there?
Yeah, he's kind of the counterpoint. He's hopefully the anvil for him to break upon. Then he can get the counter assaults through with the Terminators. And of course, he's got another keeper on the right hand side. An interesting and possibly punishing thing about Morrisoli's setup is that he always takes a keeper with the -1 to wound from range, which is actually a really awful choice in this game. There's literally 0 shooting by Liam's army. So that guy is actually essentially bare bones, that Exalted trait, doing literally nothing this one. So I'm wondering if he's rolled up on the one on the keeper on the left, and that one's gotten some nice defensive buffs to 4+ invuln, things of that ilk, because then that one can reliably not just instantly die to something like 5 or 6 possessed, which the other one might just do. Here comes that wall I was talking about. He's going to try and build a wall in front of his keeper, try and build a wall in front of his termies. He's going to double shoot those termies, double tap them into those possessed, try and kill as many as he can, as fast as he can. I love it when one of my calls comes off. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I'm interested that he's walling off the lock as well. I suppose that's probably there's no need to expose that guy to harm if you don't need to. His smites are quite powerful, and his defensive abilities aren't things you can just throw away into an army like this. Do you want to transition back to the Nid army, or have you got any call you want to make on this game, brother?
No, not really, man. I'm pretty happy to just chill with this one and see how it goes, because it's obviously going to be a bit of a slow burn. I'm interested to see how Solly goes, because one of the things we touched on Jeremy's game was that Liam and the Queensland boys have a lot more reps under their belts currently due to COVID and stuff. So it'd be good now that Solly's actually seen what Liam can do. He's had a game with this. He knows a bit more about it, and he's had a bit more tactical nuance here. It'd be good to see what Solly can do. Yeah,
exactly right. We'll transition back over to the Nid game. We've seen a lot of deep strikes come in here, a lot of different bits and pieces. The Alarics have hit the board. I'm not sure if they have made a charge or failed a charge. The Sagittarium actually did something pretty interesting. It looks like they are right next to that Tyrannifex and the Malicept, and they might have charged in and tagged both. The Venatari have deep struck down onto the top of that ruin. That ruin is 100%, I can tell you right now, is 9 inches high. So he has been able to just dump down on top of that ruin. Either that, or he was already on the table and has done a nice little shimmy up there. On the left-hand side, there is a model in combat with the Broodlord. What do you reckon that is? Nick?
I'm not sure, mate. Sorry.
Yeah.
Had a bit of a distraction on my end there. I'm not quite sure what that is. So you're looking at the Custodes. Do you have the shield captain down the bottom there, sort of near those gaunts in your objective 6? We have the Alaris and the Telemon on the right. We have the Sagittarium on the left, and then we also have the Venatari on the left for the Custodes. It could be down the bottom there. It might be the Vexilla there, in between those two. In between those two Tyranids there. Yeah,
it could be. It could be all sorts of things, really. I just need to know that it looks to me like the Alaris might have failed that charge, either though he hasn't rolled it up yet. But remember when we said there was leaving a bit of a weak flank on the right-hand side? It looks like that has borne fruit, and that whole right flank has been rolled up by the combination of the Alaris shooting, the Telemon, and the Shield Captain. They've really rolled up that right flank. In fact, I dare say that flank is absolutely cooked. The shooting by the Venatari is likely to do a significant amount of damage, yeah?
The Sagittarium there?
No, the Venatari.
Oh, the Venatari, sorry.
Yeah,
they are. Yeah, they are quite likely to do a fair bit of damage, because they can double shoot for 1 CP strat. They have already lost one. They were a unit of 5 previously, so unless there's one in the terrain building, which I don't think there would be based on the height of the stands there, they've already lost one. So yeah, they do put out a horrendous amount of shooting.
Yeah, so it's 2 shots each with exploding 6s?
Yeah, and you can double those shots. So
Yeah.
4 shots each with exploding 6s. Yeah.
So
Turn
you like
6, neg 2, 2 damage. So there's a lot of shots. There.
Yeah, so it's actually really cool unit, especially into the toughness 5 multi-win meta we are seeing pretty prevalently.
Yep.
Into the scoring, had a 15-point primary turn by the Tyranids. Of course, we saw them string up that unit of Gaunt to take away objective 2. Of course, they're sitting pretty comfortably on 4 objectives at the start of their turn. What would be their turn 2. 5 points for the Custodes is a bit not as much as I thought. And they've got 1 point for Raised Banner so far, sitting on a nice 16, but 27, so a decent lead already. 11-point lead by the by the Tyranids. I don't expect them to be able to hold on to that, but it is a bit rough that the Alaris probably failed their 3d6 rerollable charge, which, George, is why you use the Vexilla.
that is why you put him within 3 inches of a unit. You can't fail a 3d6 charge of 3 inches away. I love it. But what we mentioned that I'm interested to know the Razor Banners that the Custode does has, which objective that he does have. Because if it is objective 2, that's about to be taken away from him. It won't be 5 or any of the ones in the other deployment zone.
It has to be the one. Sorry, go.
Yeah, it could be the one in the blue building there. So I'm interested to see what actual unit he has putting the banner up. So he's got the Vexilla here in the middle of the table. On the left-hand side here, he has that sword and board captain. So I don't know what it's put the Razor banner up and where it is. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious to see which one it is as well. Just looking quickly into the comments. Sword and board shield captain versus the Broodlord. I didn't think he had a sword and board shield captain. I thought he only had the one. Maybe we're incorrect. I'm gonna have a quick gaze.
No, he's got a bike. He's got a bike one. Then he's got a foot one as well.
That would be the foot one then. Yeah, cool. That is. He's probably gonna win that over time. Whether we can do it in one turn or not is probably unlikely. Yeah. I do like.
Yeah, well, I'd say he's not going to die. That's for certain.
Well, yeah, exactly. Right. He's not going to die, but at the same time, he's not going to kill the Broodlord anytime soon. What I really liked about that guy is he's actually a recently good action monkey. He's very hard to kill, and in addition, he's another thing you can deep strike in with a 3d6 charge to just stop up a problem unit. Like you have a unit of, I don't know, Cataphrone Breaches, right? Cataphrone Destroyers. That's moving its way up into the field. It's being really, really annoying with its shooting. You just bomb that guy in, tie him up for 3 or 4 turns. Bob's your uncle. You've got his points back already.
Yeah, that's it. It's very useful. Even just a shield captain in a Lars Terminator able to deep strike in, like you mentioned. There's a couple little things there. We are starting to get some scores coming in again. So Shane's come up to 30 on the primary there. 2 on engage. He hasn't obviously got scramblers or while we stand yet. So it's already 42-19. So he's seeing a big creep here from the Tyranids.
Yeah, dude, that Alaris unit not coming in is actually going to be a big deal. It might be that is a unit that needed to come in to kill that Tyrannifex and really pressure the middle of the table. Because right now, I think the Venetari can be accounted for. I think the solo single Sagittarium in the middle will be killed off in short order. And unfortunately, it does look like the middle of this table could be hollowed out and quite comfortably in the Tyranid control. It doesn't have anything in the top left-hand corner that's going to be killing off those Gaunts either. It looks like he's already lost a Telemon as well, which is actually a bit scary. That's probably either double shooting Hive Guard with the Biovores in addition. We're seeing that Shield Captain went into 3 Tyranid Warriors on Objective 6, didn't kill any of them. That shouldn't be a thing from a 170-point model, but here we are.
but too often than not, it is.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he would have killed 2. I thought he would have killed 2. It's a 5 or 6 attacks on the charge, hitting on 2's re-rolling, winning on 3's re-rolling.
Yeah, 5 attacks on the charge.
You won't get a save against him for being neg 3. So he's going to hit with 5 attacks. He's probably going to wound with 4 of them. No save, 4d3
damage.
Think
he'd kill the 3. You think he'd kill the 3?
Do you think he'd kill the 3? All he used to do is spike 1-5 there at the right time, or 1-3 damage. But yeah, killed 0, guys. Skint. Yikes. And that's what gave him the 15. That's exactly what gave him the 15. There will be an Alaris within 3 inches of that top objective if there isn't anything inside that building. He has the Telemon on 1, and that Shield Captain flubbing meant instead of a 10, he got another 5 points. That's now with a 30 to 5 point swing. At the start of the Custodes turn as well, he's only going to get 10 points max. So that is a huge deal that Shield Captain didn't kill those guys. Even if he killed them down to 2 left, that would have been a good, and maybe not good enough because he still would have gotten a 15 for holding him more. But man, that Shield Captain flub, it might come back to bite him in the butt.
Yes, the Alaris, like you mentioned already, they're not getting in the middle of the table there and doing some work. They really need to be killing things every turn. We've mentioned a few times already on the stream, these big units of Terminators and big units of Death Star type things that we're seeing a lot of. They need to be functioning. They need to be hitting stuff. They need to be shooting stuff. They need to be moving around the table. and they've sort of been taken out of that. So we're seeing, actually, I'm interested to see what is coming out here. I believe it might be the Palace. There's a lot of measuring coming around that blue building. So there's definitely something in there. The only thing unaccounted for, I believe, is that Palace.
Yeah. Well, I'm of the opinion that the Vexilla isn't accounted for now because we know that the Shield Captain
no, that
was
is
Sword and Board
right
on the
next to
left.
the Herodril or whatever it is. So
really?
in the middle there, just to the left, yeah, the Vexilla is just there, just in front of the Venatari there.
Maybe that's what he used to get the Venatari where they are. So maybe there is 5 there. Is one
below.
Yeah,
That could be the case, yeah.
But if that is the case, that lictor that just popped up next to that objective is actually a problem, which means the Alaris can't move off that objective.
It is a massive problem.
The Alaris can move off and shoot back into it, or the Telemon can clear that lictor off. He's going to get a scramble there. Which is why you take that too, which is why he's so good. I just hit the transition screen. I do want to go back to the Space Marine off that we've got, because I think there's been some developments there we need to take into account. And certainly the scores will be updated for possibly what could be the start of turn 3 or the bottom of turn 2 for the Jerigold. So he has had 1 turn of primary scoring, possibly 2 turns. I think it's only the 1 turn. The unfortunate reality is that I think that drop pod is being exploited and is being tapped by a unit of 5 Blade Guard right now. At least maybe there's a unit of Blade Guard in combat with a unit of Deathwatch out of there. Unfortunately, we're unable to really tell. But the rest is that a unit of Deathwatch on the right-hand side? I believe it is. I can see a bunch of different models here. A Vanguard vet sitting right with a yellow shoulder pad.
Yeah, it looks like it is there on the right-hand side in the center, you mean? Or on the top?
The right-hand side.
On the center.
All the way on the right side.
Being moved right now?
Yeah, they have just made a charge. They've just made a successful charge by the Marigold into that unit of Blade Guard veterans. They will, at the very least, be piling in onto that objective and taking it off his opponent. But yeah, very interesting work there. Maybe they got the Beacon Angelist, or maybe they just came in from Deep Strike Reserve. There is another unit of them that, which is sitting pretty strong onto the top left-hand objective also. Pretty imposing there. Very interested to know that Jeremy has ceded Oath in a lot of ways. He's not playing for the middle of the table. He's letting his opponent have it. But on the reverse, he's just playing to deny his opponent domination, which I think is actually a very good play.
Definitely, yeah, which is also going to lead to him getting primary as well. Just to point out, one of the most crucial things about this game is the block party, and that has continued to go on the balcony up there. We have a lot of units heading towards that top left building. Again, I do not know what is going on in there, but there is some fun times to be had because everyone loved getting their model stuck in there. Even the drop pod actually probably got a bit close there. The drop pod wanted to get close as well. So yeah, we're seeing a very close game. Like you mentioned, the Jeremy has decided to just abandon Oath. He's not going to fulfill his oath for the moment. He doesn't care what the Emperor thinks about that, and he's just going to go try and block domination and win on primary as well. So I think he's got a small little lead ahead. He's 6 points ahead clear currently.
Yeah, well, I'm of the opinion we're into the top of turn 2, and what we're seeing right now is the pile in from Jeremy into what I assume is a couple of units of Blade Guard on the right-hand side. I'm interested to know where more of his Inceptors are. I can only really see 1 unit of Inceptors on the table, so I'm assuming what's on the right-hand side is either his 5 or 10 man units of Intercessors. He's got 1 unit of 10. Whether he split those up or not, I'm not too sure. Pretty sure it's a unit of Blade Guard right in the middle, getting the Oath every turn, and pretty sure it's another unit of Blade Guard on the left, contesting the unit that came out of the drop pod. I'm not quite sure what the other one is. I'm assuming it will... Actually, I think I can see them. They're right to the right of the biker model in the center of the table. So I think that is Intercessors that he's going into, and they should be absolutely butchered off that objective in pretty short order. Keen to know if Jeremy had any buffs going into that 9-inch charge, or whether he was just like, I'm Jeremy Marigold, I'm going to get this 9-inch charge. So there is a character down there. So yes, I believe that was a Beacon Angelus. If it's his chaplain, he probably had a +2 to charge off that as well, or he got the Veil of Time, and maybe he had just had the straight up reroll for it. Either way, very well played by Jeremy. That is a very, very big issue for the opponent. He's going to have to bring a hell of a lot of resources in order to get them off in there. I'm of the opinion that Jeremy should try and go for a wrap if he can. Jeremy getting a wrap on one of these Intercessors and not killing him to a man would be a really big deal. He's going to hold it over his opponent anyway. And then he can't be killed or butchered by Plasma Inceptors on the return, which is what would be the worst case scenario, which would force his opponent to pull the Blade Guard from the middle of the table holding that Oath to try and dislodge his veteran squad, e.g. playing directly into what Jeremy wants him to do. Admittedly, Jay Hansen could flip it on his head and just like, oh, well, you can have that objective with that slow unit. I'm going to pivot everything else and dive up into the left, try and pivot off that drop pod, or just own the middle and keep going straight up the board into those 2 home objectives for the Deathwatch. Anything you're seeing here? Any call of the game, or what do you expect to see as a response from Jay?
I think, yeah, pretty much on the money there. Like you said, that he's going to have to sort of commit something to the objectives down here. He's going to get wrapped by those that kill team that he's got there on the right hand side, and that's gonna cost him that objective there. Just quickly in the chat, we're asking which deployment zone is Jeremy's. Jeremy is on the bottom of the screen there. That is his deployment zone, and Jay has deployed in the top there. He is controlling the house party currently.
George has pointed out something. The worst thing about playing Jeremy's list is there is a lot of unique unit war gear, so it's a nightmare to keep track of what he's rolling.
That is
so
true.
One of the things that Jeremy has leveraged to great success in a myriad of games, and one of the things that keeps him perpetually being a top player, is his knowledge retention and his ability to apply it at the right time. So he's a guy who's able to play things like Deathwatch to their top peak because he can have so many. He can just. I don't want to stroke his ego too much, but he's got a big brain. He's able to lock a lot of different combos and a lot of different things in there at once, and then reel them off whenever he needs them. Which is why he's one of the guys who's been able to make Deathwatch work, even when they weren't good. Like even when they were actually quite bad, he was having great success with them. Just simply because the level of jank is very unique, and a lot of people don't quite know what they do all the time. Because he's able to remember all those things, he's able to use them at will and really wield them to great effect.
Yeah, that's right, man. And like you mentioned, we've seen that Blankguard veteran just coming and tagging that drop pod so that they can't be shot by some of Jeremy's units there. So that's obviously a bit annoying for Jeremy, and a good play there by Jay.
Yeah, absolutely right. Sam Dutney said the worst part is the clown music during your deployment. Yeah, so Jeremy is up top. He is deployed up the top, guys.
Oh, okay, my bad. Confusion. Yeah, good call there, Eric.
Yeah, no stress. It happens. It's Marines on Marines. I mean, who really cares? Looks like Jeremy is doing the wrap, guys. I called it. He's probably going to go for the wrap because the last thing he wants is 3 units of Plasma Inceptors decimating his entire army, which is likely if he's left exposed. Whereas in a protracted fight with all these Blade Guard, it just really comes down to who spikes their saves better in a lot of ways. So, it could just be whoever rolls the better 4+s gets the best of it. Admittedly, I do probably think that the unit that's between the 2 units of Blade Guard that we can see, so there's a captain, and then just to the upper right, well, either a captain or a chaplain, and just to the upper right of them is another character. That's either his jump pack chaplain, or it's his apothecary. And of the opinion, it's probably his apothecary. So next turn, whatever he sends in, and whatever wasn't finished off by Jeremy, will probably be getting a dude back. And then in addition, he probably has a feel no pain, and Jeremy doesn't. He's just falling back out of the wrap.
Well, that would be the Inceptors. No, they're going back in there now. They were coming out. Now they're coming back in there.
Jeremy's just like, no, bro, you're wrapped. Back you go. In your box. Yeah, pretty funny. Oh, no, I think he's desperate breakout. I think that's probably what he's done. He's done a desperate breakout.
Yeah, it looks like
because he was rolling dice to see who died. I believe none of them died.
Who died, yep.
So that is 2 left out of what I assume is either a unit of Blade Guard or a unit of Inceptors. It looks like he's moving very quickly to consolidate his forces down to the bottom right-hand corner. This is exactly what I think Jeremy wanted. Pull him away from the center, pull him away from Oath, leave that exposed, and let him have a bit of a play moving forward. Mess with his domination as well. He has to pretty much kill these guys to a man or bring over his biker captain in order to make sure he has rights of war and holds this objective over Jeremy. So that does make it pretty interesting as well. What are you guys seeing in chat? Jay's letting Jay have Oath is a great call. Jay needs to either commit those Blade Guard vets or give up some of those corners. Exactly what I called Diff. He's trying to pull him away from the center, or at least make him divide his force up and keep him contained on that side of the table. We're seeing some Inceptors being placed on the board, and I think this might be exactly what Marigold wanted. Put that unit out there in his deployment zone, pull him away from the center, and contesting what he did want him to contest, and make the Inceptors hit the board in order to get the shooting power in. Pretty savvy to use the desperate breakout strat. I think he didn't have much of a choice. What do you think, mate?
No, you're right there. He's done well to get his models alive. It's be interesting to see where he's going for these deployment options here with this Inceptors here. This would be, so he's got 1 unit on the table already. Does he have both units in reserve? I can't see the second or third unit, so I believe he has both units come down this turn.
Yeah, he's got 3 units, I believe. So he's got 1, 2 that have hit the board. I will notice that he has fallen back from that drop pod, and he has lined up his Inceptors to be able to shoot into it. So he's losing himself a point of Oath, but he's also gaining himself a point for killing the the vehicle. So that's not a
The
bad play.
vehicle there, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a bad play. That might work out to be
No, it's
getting
keeping the points. It's keeping the points chugging over.
Exactly right. Jay is measuring out another deep strike, so he's chucking his third unit of plasma scepters. There they are. They've just come down there. I would like to point out there is a character on the right-hand side of that box that maybe both players have forgotten about, but it would probably be more than 9 inches away either way. What are his unit sizes? How big are his plasma scepters, mate?
I thought they were 6-man, but it looks to be like he's putting down 5-man, so I'd say they're 5-man there.
Yeah, I'll have a quick gaze just to double check.
Yeah, no worries. And while we do that, I'll just have an update of the scores there. So Jay's obviously going to his turn there. So he's obviously moved up to 15 on the primary. He has 6 for Oaths and 2 for Banners, rounding out at 33 points. So he's able to just keep the scores chugging over there. Interesting to see where Jeremy goes with that, because I believe Jeremy's going to get a fair bit more for Raise the Banners and primary as well.
So how many points is a Plasma Scepter?
Did they just go up to 55? Is that correct?
Yeah, I thought they just went up to 55. So yeah, that makes sense. So he's got 2 units of 6 or 2 units of 5. I can never tell if they're pricing in the Inceptor Sergeant or not. 2 units that are 330 points. So that was probably full. 5-mans and then 1 unit of 3 dudes. So a 3-man and 2 5-mans, which is what we're seeing here. So that makes sense. But yeah, price-wise, sometimes
that's it. So just had
Jiffy.
We just had Diffie. Yeah, that's true. We've just had Diffie chime in on the stream. So we have 81 people watching, and he would love to hear the chat and to hear what you think. So if you guys are liking it and you're enjoying this new format that we've got going on here, jump onto Art of War, give us a subscribe, follow one of us, because we're going to give you a lot more content like this, aren't we, Adam? We've got a lot planned for the future.
Exactly right. A little bit about Art of War, if you're not quite aware. We do have a bundle for all 3 subscriptions below. You get for $36. You get 2 premium podcasts and access to the unmatched 40k content held in the War Room. The access to the War Room gives you access to members-only Facebook page and Discord channel where you can share your ideas with like-minded individuals. 5 online Warhammer 40k classes per week taught by expert coaches. 1 weekly meta-analysis going over recent tournament results or / upcoming releases. And 1 weekly streamed coaching game where you focus on high-level strategies, tactics, and theories. So yeah, a lot of value from that bundle. Both Art of War podcasts, which I'm sure you guys know about, and access to the War Room for $36 just for the people and the viewers today. It may extend beyond, but we don't know because it's just started now. So jump in if that is something you're at all interested in.
Yeah, that's it. And just briefly, I just want to stress how good the War Room is to be a part of. So I'm in there as well. It's just so good every day. Like during my smoko, during on my trip to work, I've just always constantly got different people's opinions, different people's thoughts on the game. Just so many people playing different games and chucking up their thoughts. And like you said, some of the best minds in the game, they've got coaching available. Eric from Australia, Aaron Green, I'm pretty certain is also one of the coaches. Jump on there, have a chat with everyone, get involved. It's a great Warhammer community to be involved in.
Absolutely right. So it's interesting, we've just had the scoring for the start of turn 2 or the start of turn 3 up for Mr. Hansen. He's currently sitting on 33 points. He's got a 15 for primary this turn. Unless he got a 5, I think I might have got a 5 or a 10 next turn, maybe he's got a 5 or a 10 this turn. Because to my mind, he only holds 2 objectives. So he only got 10 points, so maybe it was already on 5 and I missed it.
Yeah, I think you may have already been 5. So the one on the far left he holds with the drop pod, that's obviously 1. We're agreeing on that one.
Yep. And then the one directly below that. I'm of the opinion he definitely did not hold objective 5 at the start of his turn. Jay is moving very quickly, by the way. He's hitting at a good clip, which I'm happy to see. We're definitely going to see a natural conclusion to this game, of which I am
that
a big
one
fan.
that one on the bottom left, was he holding that, or did those Inceptors just drop down there at the start of this turn?
I think he was holding that and he moved off that to skew to the right.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
yep.
Those are my opinion. But anyway, we'll leave this game. We'll go back to our top table game and see what's progressed and what has changed for the Mr. Borisoli and Mr. Hacker game, which is our top game. These 2 guys are on the highest battle points right now and undefeated. So they both have won 4 games. Interesting to know that both these guys playing on this sub already played 3 games in addition to the ones they've played here. So they're playing their 8th game of the weekend so far, and they've both got 3 more after this at a minimum. So pretty intense. This is, I've got to say, this is looking good for Sully.
Nice. As you're transitioning over there, Adam, I'll just have a quick shout out to... Sorry, man, I was just going to have a quick shout out to Ben Ashton, who is a member of the War Room, who has just dropped in here to say hello.
Yeah, exactly right. So an interesting thing that's going on here. As you can see, there's been a big deploy by the Terminators. Terminators coming in from reserve has charged into and bloodied up that unit of Possessed on the left-hand side. Looks like it might still be in the charge phase there. He's left a gap for his Keeper to get into those Possessed as well. Through shooting and shenanigans, maybe he's killed 5 or 6 from that unit. And yes, the Keeper has just made a charge into them. He left a gap to make sure he could get in. Yeah,
so we're going to see a few of those. We're going to see a few of those possessed there get crunched down there. So that's obviously Soli's plan to start working through. We'll have a quick recap of scores while we're starting. So Soli's obviously the only one that's got some primary so far. He's sitting on 10. This is obviously his turn 2. Raise the banners. He's on 2 and engages in all fronts. He's also on 2. But Liam's in his turn 1 was able to just pip ahead and get some 3 on Dominion there. Domination,
yeah, because he's holding 4. I believe Domination is probably going to be out of his reach for a couple of turns. We've just seen 2 or 3 of the possessed being pulled down. What I assume is the keeper, because I'm of the opinion he wants to either get those don't know actually. Could be he wants to get the keeper in front of the Terminators because they are why we stand, or he wants to get the Terminators in front of the keeper, depending on which one you think has more value. Either way, the one that's exposed might be getting charged and crushed on the return. We've also, I want to point out that that wall I was talking about, it's in good force. It's well and truly in force. I'm going to do a little bit of a count while you talk and a bit of a call of what's going on here, because I want to see how many possessed he might have killed from that front squad. And also, I'd like you to point out that there's a keeper on the right-hand side of the table who has made a nice big advance from that bottom side. I'm not sure if he's maybe forgotten to charge him, or if he didn't intend to charge him. He just wants him to be there as a distraction to make him charge those possessed away from the center of the table, so they either can't commit up into the wall he's created, or he's going to either get to ignore there and get to run in and kill some cultists and be a bit of a frustration piece.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I think you covered most things there, Adam, that you wanted me to point out. So on the right-hand side there, he's actually, probably using it as bait if he hasn't made that. If he hasn't made that charge, I think he would probably be better off going for that charge there. So I don't think it's bait personally. We're having a bit of a discussion on the left-hand side there because we've seen that keeper crunch through some of Liam's possessed, and she or he has actually found themselves outside of combat there. So they've consolidated as much as they could, but they're now outside of combat, allowing the possessed to do whatever they want during Liam's turn. That is probably going to be a big play there for Liam. That's obviously why he's taken those units there from the front back.
Yeah, so it was.
How did you go? Did you get your number count on your wall there, Adam?
15. I believe he's killed 5 with the shooting and the smites from the top right-hand corner. That's probably about right. From the Reaper autocannons, I'm not quite sure how many of his Stormbolters would have been in range as well. And admittedly, I am of the opinion he probably veterans those, or possibly double shot them as well. But like I said, Liam does have a couple of these guys touching the crates, touching the big line of sight blocking terrain, so he's going to have a couple of 3-up saves against many of those shots. And of course, he probably maybe has a denial too that he can use to stop a few of his moves, a few of his smites. I do not know what's going to happen here. We are seeing the morale phase come into effect. We've seen the morale phase just happen there. So Liam had tendrilled out a bit too far, gotten a bit too greedy with one of his units, and they have been killed down to 5 guys. So that is pretty punitive. So through the clever use of Soli's army, he has killed what looks to be 4 or 5 from the front, and then about 5 or 6 from the back have had to die so that Liam could start the game or start his turn on that primary objective. So that actually has converted into a lot of work being done in that turn. We did see the previous opponent miss that. Not saying that is in any way an issue. Yeah. Not saying there's any way an issue, but either player for missing that, the morale phase and the coherency phase gets missed all the damn time. I've missed it plenty of times with guardsmen and been pulled up later for it, to my chagrin. It's just a really hard thing to remember when you've just finished the turn, right? Because I don't know how long you've been playing the game, probably longer than me, but I've had 10 years of that thing not existing. So I get to the end of the turn, I just add up the scores and move on.
Oh, that's it. Not only that, these boys are also on their 6th game already, so they've played a lot of games, these guys. Yeah.
8th
game.
Eight,
so... Yeah, so those things sort of do get missed once you start to get a bit of a brain drain going on all that weekend long. So this is day 3 for these boys. Looking to go into day 4 tomorrow. So yeah, those things get missed. That's the way it is, and we will just do our best and we'll just carry on. So
absolutely right. Where do you Liam is looking pretty contained now that unit has been cut down to size. He's looking pretty contained into the bottom right-hand corner of the table. This could be a really big issue. He needs to sling. I don't like saying the word sling because I know he doesn't like it and he doesn't like playing that way. But man, he needs to get one of these units on his bike and needs to become very relevant very quickly.
Yeah, he definitely does. But in saying that, they're also while we stand unit. So that unit of 5 that he's got there is going to have to do a big retreat. They are going to have to do a U-bolt. They're going to have to head back to the other side of the table and get out of the damage zone that they are in currently, because he's going to need to keep them alive. Otherwise, he's going to start losing some points here. While we stand, we fight. I believe that would be the 2 keepers and the Lord of Change.
No, it's the Lord of Change and the 2 Terminator bombs.
Ah, I see. Correct. Okay, cool. So he's able to. So that's pretty good for Soli. I think he's able to
Very
get
good.
those Keepers of Secrets to come in and do some damage, and he can just throw them away. If they die, it's not a big deal to him. So I'm expecting to see that Keeper just running around and just trying to tag the last of those possessed and getting the most use out of its probe that's got its arm there.
You're absolutely right. And I suppose this is where what I said about the keeper on the right-hand side, where I said it could possibly be bait, I think that's starting to look more likely. We'll see which one of us is right, because you were saying it probably just failed the charge. I think he's there to bait. I think he's there to stop Liam doing what he wants, because Liam would probably at this point want to either commit 40 possessed straight up the guts or 40 possessed to stream straight into the left. Due to that keeper being there, he has to account for it. But what I think is going to happen, he's going to try and wrap the keeper. He's trying to. He's probably. Yeah. Look what he's doing. He's wrapping it, or encircling it entirely away. He's going to try and wrap 40 possessed off the keeper and just stop the bleeding. The issue there is that he's still going to be able to smite, still going to be able to pinch hit and get a lot of damage done. And wrapping a keeper, not the greatest idea in the world. It's like this is a guardsman we're talking about. This is a greater demon who could have a swathe of buffs depending on which one it is. But yeah, I do like this plan. He'll wrap all 40 possessed off this keeper and be immune to Soli's shooting. But the issue is, that's a negative place to be. He's not getting points for domination. In fact, he's ceding a lot of the table by that way. He's going to get any banners he's put down on every other objective. It's going to get pulled off. They're going to get taken away entirely. And yeah, he's still going to be probably losing that 5-man on the left-hand side. So he's going to be taking some impacts to his total score. But this is a shore up. This is a little bit of a panic play, maybe by Liam, or he's just like, hey, how can I just not get smashed by this shooting next turn? Admittedly, it's only going to be one unit of Terminators though. The one on the left is pretty contained. It's not going to be getting any shooting through that line of sight blocking terrain, right?
Yeah, that's 100% the correct. So there's not a lot of shooting that can come out, but like you said, if it is bait, which you've suggested, then he is actually dragging Liam away from the objectives. He'll still hold the 3 objectives that he's got here. As you'll see, he's sort of spanned out that last little possessed that he's got there to hold that objective. So he's still going to have the 3 banners, I think. If he can get that one raised on the left-hand side there, he definitely would have the 2 on the right-hand side raised. So that possessed unit he's got now, he's actually moving forward with them. Yeah, he's going to quite aggressive.
He's going to sling one, and he's going to pivot the other and pin it off the keeper. If not, he might kill the keeper. But yeah, he doesn't have an option now. If he's not going to pin both off the keeper, he's got to sling it. He's got to put one in, start doing some damage, because, well, let's just face it, one unit is gone, or is about to be gone. Whether he decides to do damage with it or try and hide it to keep it alive remains to be seen. There is the option that it could move, advance back into the block at the bottom, and then get warped time right into the bottom right-hand corner, or significantly into the bottom right-hand corner, that it will be safe for a couple of turns. That's definitely an option for him. But then he's ceding his primary advantage. He essentially would be giving up the primary and giving Mr. Morrisoli a 15 in his next turn, which might not be a great plan. One thing Matt might have done, or might have changed if he could do it over again, is make sure that those beasts of Nurgle were entirely body blocking that objective. Right now, there is options for him to get possessed into combat with them and get probably 4 or 5 onto that objective, even if none of those beasts die. E.g., he will take it off his opponent. There is some models behind the Lord of Change that we can't see. That could even be just one cultist with OBSEC, which completely will change that and make that a non-play. But if there isn't, it could be a bit bothersome. The other play he's got is that he warps times this aggressive unit that he's moving up. They go through the terrain, streaming off to the side, and come back around and try and kill that unit of Terminators, e.g. trading the 5 possessed at the bottom that he's going to lose for while he stands for 5 of Solis of killing off those Terminators for while he stands. So that could be another big play by Liam, and he might be feeling that he has to go for a big one. What do you think? Do you think he just goes straight forward into the Beast, or do you think he goes all the way around and tries to get those Terminators?
I think he might be too slow to go all the way around. I think he's just going to have to go into the Beast. Eric's pointed out there that Liam probably committed too early to domination on the left-hand side quite early, and that's obviously something that Soli's picked on, and he's reinforced that right flank of, well, our left side or Soli's right flank. So he's obviously reinforced that with as many stuff as he could there to actually push Liam back, and that's what we found. So Liam's actually pushing back now. He is in the right corner only, very similar to what we've seen in the Knights game previously, and he's going to have to try and push forward. Whether or not pushing forward through a bunch of Terminators, a Lord of Change, and all those beasts there is a good idea. We are about to find out, but I would say that is not true.
Yeah, so he's actually taking himself completely off that objective. He's realized that the primary is probably pretty pretty boned, I think, for at least for a turn
Well, I think
or
that's
two.
obviously a while we stand option there.
So he's realised he's like Solly might only get 10 on his primary. If the possessed go up into the front and he doesn't have a cultist on that unit on that one, he can equal him. He can go 3 for 2, and Solly will only get 10 points rather than the 15.
Well,
So taking himself
those
off that
cultists are
one.
actually moving up now, so
Oh, that's what he's going to do.
We're seeing Liam perform a bit of a screen here. So he's going to make a screen there so that those possessed are blocked. So the keepers and whatnot on the left-hand side ruin there can't actually be tagged by those things. They're going to have to go around the back in that ruin, which we know the keeper is unable to do, being a monster that it is. And the cultist will still be able to hold that objective. So he's not actually giving up the primary there.
He's actually very, very good play. Very good play by Liam. I like that play quite a lot. He must have got a pretty big advance out of that because it looks like he's gone probably about a 10 or 11 inches out of that ruin. So yeah, good, very, very savvy. We're expecting very top table play by both his opponent. They are very, very good opponents. So yeah, big move and advance out by those cultists to screen off the possessed from getting charged by the keeper. Admittedly, he could shoot them out and then go for a big charge by the keeper, who would have to be 1 inch away from those cultists. I think that would be the best play. The issue is then that keeper wouldn't be on that objective because being 1 inch away and then the cultist not being there, if he fails the charge, he's not going to make it. It's probably good enough for Solly that he wants to. He would be happy to take that reroll. On that long charge, but it would be so okay if he's 1 inch away from that objective, and we know the objective is 6 inches in diameter, and looks like the possessed on the other side of that. It'd be only a 7 or an 8 inch charge, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't be that big, would it? Nah.
So it's on the bigger side of things, but it certainly is not unattainable. And getting those possessed down now is a very, very big deal.
Yeah, definitely is. There's definitely something you want to be going for. So if he can start getting into those possessed, the Solly is really getting aggressive here and getting on the front foot, which is what I'm liking. So a few simple maneuver tricks that he's done at the start here, knowing which flank to reinforce, obviously comes down to having a bit more experience against what Liam's army can do now. And we're showing the flex of the play call come out.
Yeah, he has got a lot of experience, guys. A lot of experience with demons, a lot of experience with chaos. This is all he does. He's like the Terminator, like, this is all he does. He'll never stop. He'll wade through your defenses, etc., etc. That really is the plague hole's modus operandi. He will wear you down. So we had a chat with him during the thing. Me and Jeremy, he was chatting with us a bit. I know he was chatting to Eric as well, and he thought he was pretty screwed on this objective because he thought this was just very much the same as what he's already played. Liam on during the Masters, and he lost. And he said, "Man, if I go first, then I think I'm screwed." He went first this game, and I'm telling you, he's not screwed. Maybe he's not going to win, but he's doing pretty well. And what we said then was like, you tried playing really defensive, you tried playing a really stable frontage, and just playing pretty neutral. Throw some stuff out there. Play an aggressive game instead. See how he responds. You're much more likely to force someone to make a mistake by playing aggressive than playing defensive. And I think that's exactly what he did. He overextended turn 1, and then he got his nose bloody because probably he expected Solly to play defensively. But now he's playing offensively. So now Liam's going to do the same, and we'll see if Solly makes a mistake as well, which is it's likely. A high pressure game. These guys are well battle worn and battle weary from how many games they've played also. And so yeah. This could be a game of inches, and one guy could just blink. And of course, Liam has all the advantage of going second as well.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. So what else have we got? Let's have a look at some of the other games we've got going on, because this is going to be a bit of a slow burn, this one.
Yeah, this is going to be... It always tends to be with guys of this caliber. They don't tend to do any rash decisions. We're going to jump back to the Tyranids. I think because
that sounds good. That sounds good to me.
I think when we left, we were a bit worried for the Custodes. I'm not so worried anymore. Jesus.
Oh yes, here we go. Let me see this.
Oh Lord, it should be coming up for you guys any second.
There's no army I loathe more than the Tyranids. Let me see. I love a good Tyranid death.
Yes, that has been a big collapse, maybe a bit of a collapse by the Tyranids. Look what's happened here. They have wrapped off the Tyrannifex. Unit of Alaris, the Shield Captain, and the Telamon have wrapped off the Tyrannifex. Whether they're going to kill him or whether they're just happy to just pinch him and punch him. And then
first. So, but before we get too deep, how about we run through a bit of the scores there, Adam?
Yes, because the scores are significant.
And see where we are currently. So the Tyranids, while you mentioned, yeah, they are wrapped up. Shane has able to do his tricks, and he is able to get a bit of a commanding lead going here. So primary wise, he is on 30, engaged in all fronts. He is on 5 deploy scramblers. He is able to perform, and very thankfully, he's put that in the scores early. So thanks a lot there, Shane. That helps us a lot. And he is on to a total of 55 points. Shane Miller, the Adeptus Custodes General, he is on 15 for primary. So he's only half what Shane is. He is on 3 on engage on all fronts. He is 0 for while we stand, but we know he's going to do a good there. And he's on 2 for raise for banners for 30. So we're looking at a 15-point lead here.
There are a couple of really key pieces.
25-point lead, sorry. 25-point lead there for Shane.
Yeah, there are a couple of really key pieces missing for... oh, wow. Have we just had their primary rocked up? I think I got 45 for primary already. These guys have got no chill either. They're almost done.
Yes.
70 points. Geez, so we might be into the bottom of turn... So we might be into the top of turn 4 already for these guys, because there's no way to get primary without 3 turns of scoring. So this is the top of turn 4. We've already had the bottom of turn 3 for the Custodes. Man, mighty good scoring by the Tyranids. Is doing a great job. But yeah, a couple of key pieces missing.
Yeah, definitely.
The Exocrine is gone. The Tyrannifex, I'm really surprised the Tyrannifex is still alive. Those guys are about to get charged by a Hero Duel. I'm not sure how much that barbed one is going to do in combat, because I think it's the other one that's the size. It's the much better combat monster. Really surprised to see those Gaunts are still alive though, brother. Surely, like, they would be a priority for those Virtus Praetors to get rid of. And surely through shooting and charging, they would kill that to a man, you'd think.
Yeah, you'd think even just shooting alone, he'd be able to just get through that. But obviously, the Sagittariums just moved off that objective, and they've obviously died as well. So the Sagittarium are completely missing. The Vexilla seems to be missing. The Captain seems to be missing. So the Tyranid player here has made short work of some of these Emperor's Finest. Eric's going to pretend that I didn't say that Tyranids are my most hated army in the game. But man, I've painted about 300 Gaunts for you, little fella. So there's a reason why I despise Tyranids as much as I do.
You want to paint some Custodes for me? Nah, I'm good. Michael Swain. Custodes are surely the army on the table that plays the closest to the lore and fluff. Yeah, either that or them or Space Marines probably play the closest. Either that or GSC being inept miners is what they kind of play at the moment, because they're just a faction that is kind of nowhere.
Probably Orcs for me, the ones that play the most similar to what they do. I think Orcs would be the one for me.
Yeah, good pick there. I actually agree with that. Now
they're pretty well represented on the tabletop by the fluff. By the lore there, I would go with Orcs, yeah.
Yeah, so look at these Gaunts being alive, and what looks to be 2 units of 3 warriors alive on the left. Man, that unit of warriors on the bottom right is still there as well. So, I mean, the Custodes made some decisions here, obviously, that they didn't want to get shot anymore, and wanted to dogpile onto that.
Just pointing out too, Adam, that Lictor that we saw come out behind the Alaris there, that is still just out there cruising around. So he's done his destroy plan, but the Scramblers, and he's allowed to do whatever he wants. Again, we haven't seen this Palace Gravitac anywhere on the table all game, so whether or not it's behind that blue building or not, it is probably time to get that out and do some firepower with it.
I think we haven't seen it yet, it hasn't come out to get some good lanes of fire. I think it's probably dead. It's probably getting picked up by the Hive Guard.
I think you're on the money there.
Yeah, because it's a good thing.
Yeah, you're probably on the money there. Yep.
Yeah, it gets picked up by the Hive Guard really quite easily. He's knocked over his Lictor with his dice. It's pure spite. We saw some wins come through onto the Shield Captain, probably what I assume is a couple of smites. He's got a Broodlord and a Neurothrow probably in smite range of that lad. And so, yeah, we've got some wounds being chucked on an Alaris as well. Someone in the chat able to tell us what a Barbed Hero Dude does in combat? I've really opinion he's only got like 4 attacks that hit on 3s or 4s. So, pretty sure he doesn't kill more than 2 Alaris. But it could be pretty spicy if I'm incorrect. He's got like a crazy sweep attack or something.
So what are you thinking here? So the Tyranid players obviously got these big monsters. They're sitting in the middle of the table. That is absolutely near none of the objectives. So Shane Miller needs to start capping on some of these objectives. So I probably would have preferred to see him rather than going for the points. Obviously, these are some of the while we stand points. He needs to make sure he's getting primary as well. So currently, he's a fair bit behind on primary there. We probably need him to see him move from that combat and sit on a lot of objectives.
Yeah, so what I'm expecting to see is this Tyrannifex will go down, probably most likely into the Telamon as soon as it swings, which will allow a bit of a pivot. The Shield Captain and the Alaris probably going to be combat with the Barbed Hero Duel. I'm not quite sure how likely they are to kill that boy, whether they need the Telamon in there or not, but I'd love to see the Telamon turn around, shoot the Lictor dead, and charge down onto those Tyranid warriors, clearing off 2 of the objectives and starting to swing this back on the primary. The Custodes do have the bottom of terms. There is, I would like to see them get to about 30 points. If they get to 30 points, they can swing a 15 on the last turn and see what comes down. I've unfortunately just seen two birdie boys. What are they called? Damn it, Venatari. 2 Venatari have just been picked up from the unit of 5 at the top. I'm not quite sure what could have been doing that. Probably either the Biovores or the Hive Guard. I suppose those are the 2 best shooting assets available to them at the moment. This Barbed Hero Duel actually doesn't have any shooting options right now, so we're just probably going to see him charge straight into the Alaris.
We're actually seeing a bit of measurement from the Venatari towards the back of the table, so there could be something just out of line of sight there that we're not seeing at the top of the table there. I'm unsure.
True.
There
Yeah,
are some tapes going backwards there.
yeah, I'm unsure as well. Unfortunately, we will notice that our champion, the shield captain with sword and board, does look like he is no more. Possibly taken out by smites, possibly taken out by a myriad of things. A broodlord isn't great into it, but a broodlord can very much spike the 3 damage attacks on the 6s. We did just see an Alaris be picked up there as well. I don't quite know what would be doing the damage to them in combat, or maybe it's the acid spray. Is the acid spray pistol by any chance, guys? Can you shoot the acid spray in combat? Of course, he's a monster.
Yeah, someone.
He's a friggin' monster. You can acid spray into him.
Yeah, that's definitely they've got the ability to shoot in combat now that they are monsters, and so does that Talon being a vehicle. It could be touching the wall. Hero Jewel might open up into the Venatari.
That's very true. That is very, very, very true. It's hard to quantify a lot of the terrain pieces in your head a lot of the times. The fact that they do open up and close up at times. I'm not a massive fan of it, but I do like the way it plays. It's just very hard to keep in your head all the time. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, that's definitely true. We do know for people at home that have only just joined our coverage and haven't been here for the previous 3 days that we've been running, if you are touching the terrain base at the bottom there, you can actually see through the windows, allowing you to shoot units that are through it or inside it.
You see here, something very clever has been done by the Custodes player. See how he's got one Alaris there that he's left to be the closest? The Hero Jewel is quite likely to pick that guy up, which would mean that the Alaris then, after the Telamon finishes off the Tyrannifex, they're free to operate. They won't be able to get tagged or tied up because naturally the Barbed Hero Jewel will do its consolidate and pile in. Won't be able to pile in 3 inches past the Tyrannifex because of the size of its base, and then the Alaris will be free to do as they like. I will tell you now that unfortunately that Shield Captain on bike, the Unstoppable Destroyer, has been picked up. Whether that was from smites, which is what I assume it was. I assume it was through 2 smites and a Psychic Scream, probably put that boy down. Unfortunately, it is just that easy to kill that 170-point beast. But he's no longer there. Man, this could go either way, but I think the lead from Shane Condi might be indomitable at this level. He's just playing this really well. So there goes that
He's
Alaris just got
definitely
picked
playing
up.
it very well.
That Alaris just got picked up. Oh no, he's picked up from the back. He didn't do what I thought he was going to do, guys. Did the opposite of what I said he was going to do. Apologies.
Did the complete opposite.
Complete opposite. Yeah, he picked up 2 dudes from the back. So now he's got 2 Alaris that aren't incoherency. Well, they might be incoherency. That looks bigger than 2 inches to me, though.
I don't know. I'd say they would be because you would have only had one base sitting inside there where it's been removed. So good chance that's still all good. The Shane has built quite a demanding lead here early. So from memory, the Tyranids went first. So Shane will have the last go at sitting on the objectives, but he's just sort of running out of units now to be able to cap on the objectives.
Yeah, dude, he's actually probably cooked. 2 Venatari at the top, then he's got all that obsec on that objective. 1 Telamon being the only real untouched primary unit that he has, and 2 Alaris is not going to cut it. 2 Venataris that are locked up. 2 Alaris that need to kill this thing. This Tyrannifex has to go down. If it is alive at the end, this game is 100% cooked.
Yeah, Eric's pointing out that he is Australia's best new NID player, and I'd have to agree that he's just phenomenal. The skills that I've seen are second to none compared to any other Tyranid player.
I'm impressed. I'm actually genuinely impressed. This gentleman is playing to a very high caliber with this army that I would say is not as optimized as I'd think, but he's managed to use all the things to great effect. I'd like to see him drop 1 unit of the Tyranid Warriors and maybe use those to show up some other things, maybe, I don't know, another Lictor, just to double down. If people do try and screw you over and block out your scramblers, you just got that double chance to get it done. A couple of other bits and pieces as well. There goes the Tyrannifex. Did just get picked up. That's going to cost him 5 points on while we stand. The Telamon cannot, unless the Telamon was the one that killed it, otherwise he wouldn't be able to activate. Interested why he's going straight for that Barbed Hero Jewel. Maybe he's like, the game's over. I'm just going to kill me some big bugs, which I can definitely get with.
That could be why we see him so great in the previous game, where all he did was make a big bloodbath of those knights, jump in there and destroy everything, and it just worked to his favour. So maybe his tactic here is just, I'm going to destroy everything and see what the scores are at the end. And it's worked for him up until now.
Neil Obard has just told us Hero Jewel has 4 attacks, strength 10 -3, D3 +3 damage, rolling hit rolls of 1. Does it hit on 4s in combat? I got a feeling it hits on 4s in combat and 3s from range. If it does, yeah, it killing 2 Alaris is actually pretty impressive. Hitting on 3s, maybe not so much. But yeah, this barbed hero isn't going to go down. The Telemon can shoot behind itself. It can touch that wall, see through, kill the stuff on objective 6. It doesn't matter though. Like the objectives don't matter for the Tyranids anymore. They only matter for the Custodes. Legitimately, because the Custodes, the Tyranids have maxed their primary, so whatever, it doesn't really matter. It would only be to really deny engagement on fronts points.
Yeah, so at best we are at best for the Custodes player, we are on turn 4 with his turn 4 to go because we know he went second. So it is very unlikely that he is going to be able to max points out on primary, even though we know that is an option.
Yeah, I think we're going to jump tables now. I think we're going to jump over to the Marine on Marine.
Sounds good.
Love Fest, or Slap Fest as it might be called. Interested to see if that unit of Vanguard is still existing in the bottom right-hand corner for the Marigold, or what has occurred there. We've got an hour and 17 minutes left. There's definitely guys left there for Jeremy, whether they're into that phase or not. See the biker unit to the right of that building? I believe that is Jeremy's biker chaplain, who's there, and we gave them the +2-inch charge buff. I believe if I remember right, he was toting the Beacon Angelus also. That's a really nice little package to pick up yourself, pick up another unit, redeploy them, get your litany off, and give them the +2 charge. I'm really a big fan of that one. Promise Chaplain of Black, Master of Sanctity, and the Beacon Angelus. Absolutely exactly what it is. A bunch of models been picked up for Jeremy. Looks like he's lost 3, 4 from that unit. I think he might have 1 or 2 guys left. The good thing is, though, it's pretty much done what he wanted it to do. I would like to point out that Jeremy looks like he's put something in the middle of the table for Oath. I think that's a good call, because he has the bottom of turn. He can easily, if he's got some small compromised units that have nothing in it to do, with the bottom of turn, he can sling or move advance them from backboards to frontboards in order to just grab some pinch hitting 2 points here, there, and everywhere. As we can see...
Well, he is currently sitting on 2 for Oath, so I think you are correct there, Adam.
Exactly right. Jeremy has scored looks like he scored his turn 2 into Jeremy's turn 3. Did Jay go first in this one?
Don't remember.
I think Jeremy went first. Yeah, I'm of the opinion Jeremy went first. So Jeremy's on 40 points, having scored 20 for his primary, 2 J's 15, 4 for engagement on fronts, 2 for Oath of Moment, and 4 for Raise the Banners High. In response to that, we have 3 turns of scoring from Jay. So that means Jay's had his 3rd turn. So this could be either turn 4 or the bottom of turn 3 for Jeremy. So 6 on Oaths of Moment means that he's had 3 turns of scoring of it. So that is a bit quizzical to me, what turn they are in. 0 for Domination. Very well done by Jeremy. I think that was unfortunately a mistake by Jay to take that one. It gives Jeremy something to really play into and to deny from him. Just a tip for those guys out there: never take Domination on a 6 objective mission. Having to hold 4 is absolute crap. I would love to see that one being changed to just hold more than your opponent.
100% against an army that out-obsects you as well.
By a bajillion. Yeah, right, absolute bajillion. Yeah, I think that was a pretty big confidence call.
Yeah, it definitely was there. And that's what happens. Sometimes you make those big plays and they come unstuck. So looking at Jay's Inceptors, he's got them in the bottom left-hand side where we saw them drop down, and he hasn't actually moved them yet. So maybe he hasn't had another turn since then. But the unit on the right-hand side seems to have done some movement there. So I would imagine we would see some more use from them rather than just sitting on an objective being as deadly as they are.
Had a few more scores come through for Jeremy. He has scored his 2 for Oath of Moment at the bottom of the turn. He's actually up to 5 for Oath of Moment, so not falling back for 3 turns, I'm assuming, and 2 for holding the center at the end of that turn. So his Oath is not that far behind Jay's, and if he can hold him off the Domination, like, he's actually really going to swing these secondaries his way. They're still putting in scores in now, so it's 46 to 36 as it sits. That is 7 for engagement on fronts. Naturally, he's got another 2 points at the end of his turn. This would obviously, to me, mean that Jay is going into the bottom of turn, so the top of turn 4. He's just cleared his bottom right-hand objective, though. And this, on top of turn 4, to be so contained into that bottom right-hand corner with foot-slogging units, not sure he's got the time to get turn 4. He can only get a max of 6 for Domination for the rest of the game. Jeremy's done an amazing job of denying that secondary to his opponent. Jeremy might give up on trying to deny it now. Just make sure that he gets his 45 for primary while keeping his opponent up to below 45. And yeah, that might be all she wrote. Jay Hansen, at the top of his turn, after scoring his primary, is up to 46 to 46. But that is because Jay has the top of the turn. We haven't seen that third score of primary come in for the Jerigold. What are your thoughts here, brother? This is a really interesting one. What does Jay have to do to change this?
It's a very tough one. You were seeing him now. He's doing a lot of measuring here, so those Inceptors are sort of shoveling up a bit. So is that, again, it's very difficult to tell. Is that bike chaplain there, that that would belong to Jay, I do believe. So he's obviously getting in some kind of aura there, looking to do some kind of damage. I believe Jeremy is in kind of like the box seat there. Like you've mentioned, he's going to have the last turn. He's going to have sort of the final say on those primary scores. So Jay is sort of struggling a little bit on primary. He's not going to be able to get much more than like 35, which Jeremy will definitely be able to match him on. And the domination, like you pointed out already, is going to be the key here for Jeremy.
You're absolutely right. This is a turn where I would have liked to have seen Jay move and advance a couple of units. The issue with him deploying his Inceptors on turn 3 so defensively is that the opportunities they now have on turn 4 are very limited. I don't think there's anything for them to shoot. I actually do not think there's anything for them to shoot, apart from a couple of piecemeal units here and there. So, but looks like
I'm not understanding about the zero movement from them.
Yeah, it looks like he is shooting him. But yeah, I don't understand why they didn't move. What could they possibly have the DACA into that we're not noticing? It could be that Jeremy has one model from the Vanguard vets, or the unit he committed into the bottom right-hand corner still alive. I do see what looks to be a Vanguard vet body that's on a 32 mil in the midst of a bunch of 40 mil bases. It could be one still alive that is being wrapped by Jay, which would be a pretty cool little play if he's able to pull it off. Because he does have...
Could be shooting at that unit that Jeremy has in the middle.
In the middle of the table, yeah. There's no need to risk charging them in, and see which way those dice may or may not swing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that is a good call. It is only 18-inch range from them, so I'm not quite sure what's up there. Oh,
yeah, that's
I see
looking more like 2024 to me.
I see what's going on. So Jeremy's got a unit on the left-hand side of the table. You'll see that's a couple of units of his Vanguard vets. They've just been picked up pretty much wholesale. That's what he was shooting at. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Yep. Yeah, it definitely does. At least he's clearing off some kind of objectives there.
Yeah.
Helping. So how is he looking at getting the domination then? So he's obviously got the one on the top left-hand side. He's got the bottom left-hand side and the far right-hand side. So they're the 3 that he's got. And like you mentioned, he's going to have to grab the 4. So he does have a bike unit on the right-hand side there to the right of that the clock that the boys are using. So that could be how he's...
That's actually Jeremy's. Biker chappie. Yeah, that's his his Master of Sanctity. So yeah, he's going to hopefully try. He wants to get a charge on that guy, and that's what is going to get him onto that one. Because he doesn't, to my mind, he doesn't have anything on the left-hand side objective where the drop pod is. Because we know Jeremy had a couple of units over there that were getting picked up, and it looks like they'd cleared everything off and had consolidated forwards. So Jeremy's got the left-hand side. I don't think there's any way for him to get domination this turn, man.
No, I don't think so either. And George is asking us what turn they're on. We are of the belief that they're going to turn 4 with Jay's having his turn 4 and Jeremy not starting his turn 4 yet.
So it looks like he's put a couple of wounds on that biker chappie. If I was Jay, I would stop shooting that lad. 100% stop shooting that lad, unless he's got someone inside the building that is already on that objective. Because if you kill that guy, your ability to get that one and then deny Jeremy from getting a 15 in his next turn will be out the window. Jeremy getting a 15 now on this turn means he doesn't have to have a mad scramble to get to 45 on his 5th. He can just sit back on his 2 home objectives and where the drop pod is, score his 10, disengage, run away, and win this game. So yeah, Jay, if you don't have a guy on that objective, you need to have charged that lad.
And we can also see that Jeremy is slowly creeping ahead, so on majority of the secondaries there. So engage, he is definitely going to beat on Dominion. Raise the banners, he is slowly creeping ahead. Again, a bit of a late game surge here for someone. Adam, I'm just going to bow out for a couple of minutes here and leave you to do your thing.
No stress whatsoever, my man. In the chat, which game do you want us to take us to? I'm going to transition us over to the Morriselli Hacker game and give you a bit of an update there. This one is looking like it's in the crux moments, but I do think what Nick said was correct. Mr. Marigold does seem to be in the driver's seat here, just because I think he's got a bit savvier use of his secondaries, and like the sheer jank factor on Deathwatch is hard to quantify when you haven't played against it. But jumping over to Mr. Hackett versus the Marigold. Looks like Mr. Hackett went straight ahead right into those beasts. Looks like he only killed 1 as well. So maybe he didn't get the warp time off. Maybe he got denied by the Keeper of Secrets on the right or by the lock. Because I'm assuming he wanted to warp time, go around and get into the juicier targets on the back of the board. That unit is once again strung out to its absolute extremities. I'm interested to see what happens in return. There is the possibility for those beasts in front of the lock to fall back. The lock flies over those possessed, and the beasts fall back directly backwards, and then diagonally up and to the right, and the Terminators come down and get a pretty good charge into the front of those possessed. If he hasn't wrapped the beasts, 100% I think that's what Jeremy does, because you're getting the full round of shooting, or even a double tap round of shooting into those possessed, and then a charge would be pretty damn significant. And we know how punishing the morale issues can be for these guys when they're strung out this far. On the left-hand side, that keeper has moved up to be 1 inch away from those cultists. So this is obvious. We are into the top, possibly the top of turn 3, top of turn 4 for Mr. Solly. Actually, it would be the top of turn 3 because he's only looks like Matt's just scored his second turn of primary. The score's sitting right now. Matt's up by 14 points. Missing because he scored his primary and his opponent hasn't. That keeper that was on the right-hand side of the board that did get charged and what I thought might be getting surrounded by the Possessed has been killed. So it is gone, no longer there. I think it did its job. It's pulled the unit of Possessed away from the meat and potatoes. This might be working into Liam's favour as well, because it's a while we stand option. He's like, okay, cool, you want to pull me away from all the action? I can let you do that, and I'll keep that unit safe at the same time. We should be seeing a 3-layer fallback by Matt. The Terminator should be moving to our left. The lock should dive over all the way over to either past the Terminators or down and to the right to get some premium smites and maybe a charge into those Possessed to tie them up so they can't do a bunch of shenanigans. And then we should see the Beast fall back straight up and take the place of where the Terminators were. And then the Terminators can double shoot into those Possessed and get a nice juicy charge in as well. I like the wall he's created on the left-hand side also. He's got his 5 beasts walling off that objective from any double move shenanigans that may come their way. And yeah, this is actually turning into a bit of a saucy game. I was hoping we wouldn't see a replay of
Adam, I am back.
Beautiful. I was hoping we wouldn't see a replay of what we saw in the Masters game by these two gentlemen. Ooh, we are seeing a bit of a fallback by the Terminators. Maybe they did get tapped by the Possessed and we just can't see ones that strung through the terrain there. Because, yeah, I've got really no reason why, apart from that, why the Termies would want to fall back from this position. Surely if they were in combat, they would want to go in. Yes, definitely, I can see a Possessed behind that lock. So it's quite likely that the Beasts have been wrapped and cannot fall back, but the Terminators absolutely can. So the lock's about to move. Lock has gone straight back. Apologies, there were no Possessed back there, guys. 0 Possessed in that area. The Beasts
it does not look like there is.
So I think so this is a very conservative play by Matt. He's not going to be diving there. He's just going to be probably falling back and re-establishing his wall using the Beast to insulate the Termies. Termies going to double shoot into those Possessed. He's going to smite. He's going to bolt them. But that's probably all she wrote for the damage that's going to come into them. It's still going to be enough to keep Liam contained. He's going to bloody his nose. If he can kill the front couple and maybe expose him again to another morale issue, another coherency issue, we can see another big swing on the amount of units available, or the amount of premium units available to Liam. Because admittedly, he only does have these 3 units, whereas like Morrisoli has a lot more.
Yeah, we're seeing a bit of a toolbox versus a brick here, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Soli's got a few different tricks up his sleeves that he's able to use, where Liam's just really focusing on making sure he can get the best out of those 3 Possessed units.
Yeah, exactly right. And those 3 Possessed units can only really do one thing. They can only move and fight. Whereas Soli has got elements like the Terminators that can double move with warp time, can double shoot, and then can fight really, really well. So these are things that can do 5 actions per turn, whereas Liam's can only really do 2.
That's it. And we have seen Soli early take out one of those Possessed bombs. So that was actually a big play early on. He's whittled it down to a number of 5, and we're seeing that cower. Like a true Chaos Space Marine that they are. They're just carrying at the bottom of the table there, doing absolutely nothing because they can't. Because if they are to commit to a bit more gaming, they're going to die. And if they die, then Liam is starting to give up some while we stand points.
Absolutely right. I will say Liam is doing everything he can to stay in this game. He's making all the right plays, getting that keeper off the board, making some inroads into his opponent's deployment zone was absolutely necessary. He was being contained. He has done a very good job of breaking out, taking away some prime assets from Soli, and also putting what I believe is enough models on that objective to either contest it from Soli or hold it over him, depending on whether he's got any inside that terrain piece.
That's it. George is pointing out that this is giving him some options for Soli to be able to get into Liam's characters. So he's definitely doing that. George is keen to see some plays into these characters. What do you feel about that, Adam? Would you like to see Soli do that?
He doesn't really have many incentives to. Like the reasons that he might want to do that aren't really there for him. I mean, if he doesn't have Assassinate, they're not worth any points for him. If he can get them down to take away things like Warp Time, 100% he will.
Yep.
Like he will just do that. But apart from that, I don't think there's much reason for him to try and dive them. And the thing, like if he can get a keeper back there, for sure he will. But a keeper is always going to be hunting the Possessed rather than the characters, as long as there is any number of Possessed nearby, or he doesn't have them already accounted for, to my mind. But yeah, I do think if he has the opportunity to take away, especially Warp Time, 100% he will.
Yeah, that's it. I believe that would be the only real significance. Take away a bit of his ability to move around the table. That would be the only really benefit to that. Yeah, you're pretty spot on there. So combat-wise, with that unit to possess there, we're going into Sully, the start of Sully's turn. Is that correct?
Yeah, Sully's movement phase. Looks like he's going to try and use those Terminators to gun down those cultists that are blocking up the Keeper, and then see if the Keeper can make that charge. He does. So this is one thing people always forget, and people will continue to forget. So those Emperor's Children lads, it might look like they might not. They probably can't make a charge into those possessed. Here to tell you they absolutely can, because he can replace one of the charge dice with a 6. So man, he rolls a 4 or a 5, replaces one of them with a 6. He just goes 11 inches. He eats up those possessed. He gobbles them. And those guys are definitely within charge range. To my mind, it's looking like somewhere between a 9 and a 10, because you got the 6 inches. They're just off. The possessed are just off that.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, go.
That objective marker is 7.5 there, so we're looking at probably an 8-inch charge, I would say, there for that Seeker. So that's definitely with the quasi miracle dice that they can perform there, like you mentioned. That's definitely a makeable charge there.
We've seen a.
So we're looking at a 2. If he can get a 2, all he needs is a 2 on 1 dice.
Yeah,
so unless he rolls boxcars,
yeah,
he's getting in there.
Agree. You mean Snake Eyes, but yeah, absolutely right. So we just seen
yes.
Yeah, we just seen a warp time go off, which has allowed him to once again redeploy and re-maneuver his Terminators, just to give him a little bit more distance from this possessed squad. I think he's probably right in the assumption that he's not going to kill these possessed off with any significant degree of efficiency, and they could definitely be alive next turn to make another charge into those Terminators and try and get them get that done.
I would say that Sully's trying to keep his while we stand points
exactly.
alive. So as you mentioned earlier, that's one of his while we stand. So he's trying to keep that 5 points alive, keep that score ticking over.
Yeah, looks like we've had a smite from the Keeper into the Cultist. Looks like he's picked up 2 from that number. Looks like his next one is going to be possibly the Pseudo Smite, or he's doing the Hysterical Frenzy. Could be a lot of different things he does. Or the 6-up Feel No Pain, which he can chuck from... no, he can't use on the Terminators because that's the demon specific one. So never mind me. But it looks like we are done probably with the Psyche phase. We're going to be moving on to the shooting phase. It's just 2 units of Terminators unloading. Maybe the Terminators go for the Possessed. Maybe he just doesn't leave it to chance and he tries to kill the Possessed while he can before they're able to run away. Double shooting that's the left-hand unit of Terminators is probably enough to kill 5 Possessed, acknowledging that only 3 of them are in cover. And with Ren 2 now on the Reaper autocannons, which to our chagrin, Sully didn't know about until dinner last night, which was pretty funny. He was like, they're only Ren 1. Like, nah, man, they went up. He was told, nah, man, they went up to Ren 2 in the last FAQ. So yeah, it was pretty funny. Looks like he's only done 1 wound so far there, and another Possessed has been picked up from that squad on the right-hand side. Hopefully he starts pulling from the other end now, because he's going to start getting exposed to morale if he picks up 1 more from the front of that long tail. He did just pick up that one, so unless he's got guys inside the ruin, he's going to be exposed on the.
It seems that he has 2 next to each other, just next to the ruin there. So I think he still has 2 at the front there.
Yeah, is that what Dean just said?
Oh, and. Nope. So yeah, once again, you're right there. He has been exposed to the coherency again, so we could see a bit of a problem here for Lamb.
Yeah, well, that's the issue here. Because he's been kind of unwilling to push up his character brick. I think he should have been pushing up his character brick, which would have meant he didn't have to string quite so hard with both of these units. But so his character brick could have been stringing up into diagonally or just skirting the bottom of that line of sight blocking terrain with the units of Possessed stringing out from it. It means he gets to play the center 4 objectives a bit better and doesn't get quite as contained. Admittedly, Liam's only had 2 turns, so maybe he hasn't quite felt that he needs the opportunity yet. But that would have meant a lot to him not now to not possibly lose a total of what could be 10 Possessed just to coherency this game, because he lost about 5 or 6 last turn. Looks like he's due to lose about that much this turn as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that is what we saw a bit of in the previous game. So a lot of his board control will be taken off him here, which is what we've seen the Possessed actually be good at. So if the board control is starting to be taken off the Mad Doc, it'll be interesting to see how he can go forward with this, because like we've mentioned as well, they're the only real things that he has and his army, and they're also his while we stand points. So it is a big swing for Sully to be able to get in there and cause the drama that he's doing. So Liam is definitely, I feel, on the back foot here, and Sully is starting to put a bit of foot on the throat there. He's starting to go for it. I'm liking it.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. George has just said coherency's back. It's the only thing that kills Possessed. Unfortunately, you're right. Like, the coherency has killed almost as many Possessed as Sully has so far, and it might kill more than he does by the time this game is said and done. But he is shooting those Terminators into those Possessed, by the way. He's killed one and done a wound on another one onto the bottom 5-man, which has been depleted down to 4.
And it looks like there's a couple of ones there. Definitely 1-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's killed one and taken a wound onto another.
Pretty saucy. I'm interested to know if, in hindsight, maybe if he wonders if that was the better call. Admittedly, the possessed can't really escape the keeper. Like the keeper moving, as far as it does and having advance and charge. There's no really real position these possessed to get to that the keeper won't be able to hunt him down from while it's still on the table. Without a full unit of possessed or even a marginally, unexposed unit of possessed, 15, 12, 15 of that number, you're not going to be able to have the damage output to reliably pull this keeper down. So yeah, man, this is actually looking pretty rough for Liam. I think he might be a bit cooked, just because the assets for him are dwindling and the assets for Soli are staying pretty strong. All he's lost is one keeper.
Yeah.
All he's lost is one keeper, guys. That's it. And I'm here to tell you as well.
Eric's asking in the chat whether or not Soli has any more cultists left. So on the left-hand side of that building, are they cultists or are they the demonettes that he's got there?
The left-hand side of the building is the demonettes, yes.
Yep, okay. So does Soli have any cultists left?
No, I don't think I can see any right now. I would be surprised if they were all dead. There was a unit behind the top right-hand corner ruin at the start of the game. Not sure if they got picked up by the possessed last turn or if they've just moved further in to be on that objective. Because that was what I would assume they would do, get one guy to teabag onto that objective, to tow in onto that objective to make sure that no matter what and how many possessed he puts on there, you retain ownership. So I'm assuming that's what they're doing. I'm assuming that's the only other unit he's got. Because he's got one unit of cultists, one unit of demonettes, and one unit of nurglings. Nurglings still alive there to the left of the keeper. The demon's still alive there to the left of the terminators above the keeper. And yeah, I believe those cultists are in the top right-hand corner.
Yes,
man,
you're right there, Adam.
Tight bloody game. Which one should we go?
So
we might want to go back to the Custodes. Yeah, they might be.
I was about to say that's probably just about wrapped up.
They've packed up, guys. The Custodes and the Tyranids is over. We're going to switch back over to that game just to see the scorecard that's come in. We'll wrap that one up. And then we'll probably transition over to the Marines. But man, I think the Nids wrapped that one up and got a big win there. Really impressive stuff. Really impressive stuff by this gentleman. Would not have thought it. Give us a rundown of the scorecard, brother.
Yeah, no worries at all. Once it comes up on my screen, I'll be able to do that for you.
Easy done. Well, it's just come up for me. And yeah, it's a bit rough.
You start.
Bit rough. I'll run down the Tyranids. You can run down your boys, the Custodes. So 45 for primary for the Tyranids. We know that was going to happen. They were already that at the start of their turn 4. They'd capped that 45. 6 objective mission really played into their hands on the primary. Then he's got 11 for engage on all fronts. That's probably about right. Deploy scramblers, he got the 10. And while we stand, we fight. He only got 5, which means the hero Jew probably got picked up. Either that or somehow, some way, the Hive Guard died. I'm of the opinion, and I want to believe, that the Telemon and the hero Jew duked it out for 3 whole fight phases each other, knowing that the Tyranids already won and a victor was assured. And yeah, the Telemon one is the only way that would have come out. So yeah, he ended on 81 points. Man, what are you seeing for the Custodes?
What I'm seeing for the Custodes, just before we get going, we just want to get Chelsea. If you can let Chelsea check her messenger, Adam, that would be very good for us. And what I'm seeing for the Custodes here, so it's obviously a very low primary scoring game. He's only got 20 out of there. He's got 5 for engage, so he hasn't been able to spread out on the table everywhere. He's kept both... I'd say both those Telemons alive. We saw the Shield Captain go down on his bike for 10 points and raise the banners. There's some odd secondary choices here, which I believe may have led to the downfall of the Custodes. Engage on all fronts. It was going to be difficult for him to spread out everywhere, raise the banners, especially when he wasn't going to stand on many of the objectives. It probably would have been better off to see him just castle up on three of the objectives throughout the whole game, raise his banners and just let the Tyranids come to him. So, but that's obviously not what's happened.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would have taken raise the banners. Maybe I would have taken bring them down, knowing that the while we stand we fight was probably a pretty likely pick from the Tyranids, and that way you can target it as while we stand, and actually a bit of a more of a 2 or 3 point swing. Of course, the hero Drew being a 3 point swing if he's dead. But yeah. Good, another great win by Shane. Well, which Shane? Another great win by the Tyranids. So we'll probably be seeing more of them next round. We'll be able to follow a bit of their journey into the later parts of this tournament. But man, very impressive. Like, I'm not impressed by the list, but I'm very impressed by the player. This general is putting on some very, very nice games. A strung of quite a few together, undefeated at the end of game 5. We're transitioned back over to the Space Marine game. And
let's see how Jeremy is going.
We have just had a handshake.
Oh,
what are those final scores, man? What can you see?
Oh man, are they definitely the final scores? I don't know if they will be the
Well,
final
they shook
scores.
hands, guys. So not 100% sure, but I feel
Yeah,
like
I think we might find that there are some scores still to be updated based on what
yeah,
I'm
some
seeing
scores
there.
to still be chucked in. I
I could be wrong.
don't see there's any way Jeremy ended on 30 points for primary, going second. So I'm guessing we're going to see that go up to 45 and him win the game pretty
But we
comfortably.
are not seeing. I don't know, man. We are not seeing many of Jeremy's units on the table. So we're seeing a bunch of Inceptors on the bottom left-hand
Yep.
side. We got 2 units there that are on the table. We do have that Bike Captain that's sitting there as well. On the top right and the bottom right, we both have some more of Jay's Salamanders. So we've seen a lot of Jay's models on the tables.
Mm,
So this could. Oh, there we go. We got a bit of a score update.
yeah.
So we're looking at 69 to 60 now in Jay's favour.
Yep, I'm assuming we're going to see quite a few more come in, a couple more for banners, and probably another. Well, I'm assuming it's another 10 points to come in for primary. But man, Jay's score's going up as well. Maybe Jay's won this. Maybe Jay's carried the day.
Yeah, 72 now to 60. So to me, this is some of the exciting stuff that we can offer to our viewers here. Live scores as they're coming through. You don't get this anywhere else like this. Not of multiple table coverage. So if you're enjoying this, give us a like, give us a subscribe, tell your friends about it. Let's get it out there. Let's get a big following going, get this excitement boosted.
Yeah, dude. Man, if Jay has won this, it is a big, big deal for him. That is a great big scalp, and well done, well played. Yeah, that seems to be all she wrote. Jeremy going down to Jay Hansen on our second or third top table. So we're going to be seeing a bit more from the Salamanders. But geez, I did not expect that. I expected Jerry to be well and comfortably in the game until the end. We've still got an hour left in this round also. So, man, geez. Whew, be interested to know what happened there. Maybe just a bit of diminishing returns bled him out. 60 to 72. If that are the final scores.
Jay has...
Yeah. You go, mate.
Well, Jay's pulled out a pretty big domination. So when we were looking at it there, we were both discussing the domination. It was looking very close to be a 0, but obviously that play that he's done on the right-hand side to get onto those 4 objectives, he has done that and able to get 6 points. So that's a big play.
There, wow. There you go. Well done, Jay Hansen. There you go. Two of our games wrapped up, and one still very much up for grabs in the balance. We could be seeing Jay Hansen or Tyranids versus either Matt Morrisoli or Liam Hackett on our top table next round. I'm looking forward to either of those games. I think they're both going to be super, super saucy. Man, Mr. Marigold. Maybe he just felt overmatched. The power scales tilted in Jay's favor a bit too heavily. Maybe he threw away some resources too quickly. But man, 13 for Oath at the moment, 8 for Raise the Banners. It was really just a primary score. I expected Jeremy to end on 45 for primary, but maybe we actually read this game wrong. Maybe Jeremy went first, and the last turn of primary was Jay's, but I was pretty sure that wasn't what I was reading. We should see the transition coming up any second now.
Yeah, we've got that coming onto our screen now, and what we are seeing is a lot less possessed here.
Yes. I think Coherency has worked its awful magic. There is 2 possessed left from the 5-man squad that was at the bottom, and then Coherency has killed the unit that strung up into the top all the way back in the deployment zone. Matt Morrisoli sitting on a 5-point lead as we sit right now, going into the bottom of turn 3 or the bottom of turn 4. Not quite sure which. We've had probably only 2 turns of scoring by each, so I'm assuming this is the bottom of turn 3.
Yeah, I think you're correct there. We've had, so just going through it all, we've seen that Keeper of Secrets come down the left-hand side on turn 1. Turn 2, it was into a combat, and then turn 3, it has made its move there. It has there. So this is either turn 3 or going into turn 4.
Absolutely right. We've got the other unit possessed, the one that is mostly untouched. He's going to be doing the same thing he did last time and trying to get a big move, big pivot into the right-hand side, going into those beasts. Mostly I think that's probably to even the primary on 3-3 rather than letting Jeremy get a 15-point turn. This game's still up for grabs, man. We might be downplaying Liam's chances, but he hasn't come this far and hasn't won Masters in such a convincing fashion to stop now. I would like to see him let go of stringing, let go. He's been punished, what I believe he's been punished severely twice for the way he's been stringing out. And look, see, he's bundling up. He's got a bundle.
Yeah, we're getting a big blob of possessed.
He's got a bundle. He's got one single guy chaining, and he's got a blob at the back. Blob at the back is touching the terrain. They're going to cover a couple of guys at the front touching terrain to get cover. And the guys at the back are definitely in range of Celeste once he moves her up a couple of inches and gets a nice juicy charge off. So yeah, I'm still liking the way he's doing. He's adapting his tactics on the fly, and that he's had his nose bloodied by realize some of the consequences of his actions. But man, the Mad Doc, he is savvy, he is on top of things, and he will adjust as he goes. Still got a very potent army. This one unit of Possessed is more than enough to run roughshod through most people's 2,000 point armies if left untouched, and this one is currently at almost full strength, I believe.
Yeah, that's it. And as we know, he's a very good late game player, and he knows how to rack up the points. Looking at the points that he has here, he's looking at probably getting 10 points from while we stand, depending on what happens with these Possessed now, because we are finding that he's going to have to start using them. He's going to have to start getting them in there, getting rough and tumble with his points. So he's going to have to risk his while we stand, so he can keep that primary going up and just stop Solly from scoring.
Agreed.
Like you mentioned, it's definitely not out of the possibilities of Liam here being the skilled player that he is with the list that he has. But to me, yeah, Solly is in a bit of a commanding lead.
Yeah, he's in a bit of a commanding position, but mind you, we do know that Solly had to go first in this one, which he said he really didn't want to do. And admittedly, I'm a big fan of going second in every game I can, which I don't have any say in. But we do know that all the while we stands are still on the table for both players. 2 diminished units of Possessed for Mr. Hackett, one of them being hidden now in a terrain piece. What looks to be probably about 7, and then a 2-man left from another unit. The likelihood for me is that 2-man might make it through this. I don't know how he hides the 7-man effectively enough that they will be untouched. But things like the Keeper can go hunting, can go and try and get that guy down. And he's got a unit of cultists he's used to screen off his deployment zone, as you guys can see. You guys see it there? There's a unit of cultists to the left of the Possessed. He's going to body block that just in case the Keeper could get a huge advance in charge or a warp time from the other unit of Terminators to make a big charge into his deployment zone. The issue is there, you're probably just delaying the inevitable. I believe the Terminators are probably just going to walk up 5 inches, gun down those cultists, and continue their little inexorable advance. Engage on all fronts is actually going to be really big now.
Yeah, you're right there, Adam. We're just seeing a bit of banners maybe being raised there by Liam on the right hand side. We're seeing. Yeah, continue on there, Adam. I was just sort of covering for you while you got your butt going on.
No, you're absolutely right. Engagement on fronts is actually the one that's going to be really big for Matt. He's already on 7 for it in turn 3, and he's going to. I'm assuming it's in his turn 4 and turn 5. He's going to get a minimum of 2. He's going to be ending up on 11 for that. No matter what. The way he's playing right now, I can't foresee him giving up any while we stand we fight. So there's probably a 15 there, and raise the banners. He's sitting comfortably. He's probably got banners raised on the top left-hand unit behind the beast. I think the Demon Nets raised banners there turn 1, then turn 2 went into the Possessed. They've probably almost definitely raised a banner on the left-hand side of the table now, and I expect them to be moving downwards into the bottom left-hand corner to raise a banner then next turn in addition. So I expect him to get 2 next turn. If he hasn't raised a banner in the top right-hand corner with the unit of cultists, that's probably going to get pulled down by the Possessed this turn. So I'm expecting him to get 2, 3, 3 for his last two turns. So another 8 points there on raise the banners will put him up to a nice healthy 12. So 12 there, 11 for engage, and he's going to be close to max on primary as well. Probably around 35 to 45 points. I'm expecting probably 40 though. So 40 plus 11 for engage, 51, plus 15 for while we stand, 66, and plus 12 for raise the banners, 76, 78. So 88 will be probably somewhere the final tally, plus battle ready taken into account. 88 for Matt Morosoli versus what has been pretty much described as unanimously, up until now, the best player at the event, the undefeated player at this event, through Masters, through this. I don't know how Liam Hackett gets 88 points from this position. You got any ideas, mate?
Nah, personally I don't. Eric's pointed out, doesn't not obvious to me, but obviously Eric's saying he can do some tricks with tighter traders. I don't. You want to run us through that? You know what's happening there?
So tighter traders is a 3 CP strat to take a unit of cultists off the board and put them back on the table. I'm not quite sure what that will do for Liam. I mean, if he took engage on all fronts, absolutely, that is a great play he should be doing. And absolutely, definitely the top right, the top left-hand side where Morosoli's dice tray is, that is a prime position to chuck some cultists to get some of that goodness. And then they could make some inroads down towards the beast, jump on that back objective, and start contesting some primary. Issue is, the beast will kill those cultists in no time at all. Maybe they do one turn of disrupting the primary. Maybe that's enough to tilt this into Liam Hackett's favor. Maybe that's something he should look at. But diverting the possibilities and trying to force and put some pressure on Solly to make some mistakes would be something like that he could do. It's just whether or not he's got the CP left. It looks like he's only got 2 left. I think Solly has 2 left himself. Although there's a bunch of different dice on the top of different terrain pieces, so that's quite frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks like there's
we
a
pretty much have one on everyone. So we've got a 2 on the right hand side, a 3 on the left hand side, then down the bottom it looks like we've got a dice. We got 1 on that bridge. I think maybe a good idea would be to Liam to take that bridge home with him when he's done. He seems to be the master of this bridge. But having said that, though, maybe Soli's going to take that with him.
Yeah, just a quick call of the game. Looks like the Possessed have made a charge into those beasts. This is the Possessed striking in. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like 9, possibly 10 Possessed attacking. So I'm assuming they've only got 2. I'm assuming they've only got 1 attack each. They've only got 1 on their D3 because that doesn't look like many more than 20, possibly 30 dice, somewhere in that range. It's going to be picking up. If he has used Vets, he's going to be winning on 3s. And if he has used the +1 strength, he could be winning on 2s, or he could be winning on 4s. I think he's winning on 2s there, because he's picking up, Matt's picking up all the dice. These Possessed could be cooked, could be gone. Yeah, rough. Good use of the bridge. Roll the dice on one side, then roll the saves on the other ones. Bit of a clever little play there. I like it. So now, I think these are only 1 damage. He mustn't have progged them into the 2 damage ones, unless he's going to reroll successes. We'll know momentarily whether he will. There are a couple of different ways of doing it. Yeah, let's just have a quick gaze. How many do you think he kills? I don't think he kills all 4 with only 10 possessed, but man, I could be wrong. If these are 2 damage ones, 100% you can clear that out. Whether he's got the CP.
There's a lot of dice coming here. I am seeing a fair few 4s and 5s.
Yeah.
Only go 3.
Only got 3. I think he might have some more saves to take there. No, he got the whole unit. Got the whole squad. I think there was only. I think he got 3 from
all 4 of them.
I think he got 3 from the first round, and then he still had those other saves to take on the other side of it. And he just decided, those are more than enough to pull down the last boy, pick him up, move on, keep playing on the clock. They've got 40 minutes left, and this is the bottom of turn 3 for bottom of turn 3 for Mr. Hackett. So we're going to be in the top of turn 4 momentarily. This unit of Possessed is pretty much doing what he hoped the other unit of Possessed would do, which is smash down those beasts and put some pressure on Matt. Matt's going to be double moving that unit of Terminators at the top are going to go further behind, possibly regaining his screen behind the second unit of Possessed. Second unit of Beast. I expect those beasts to move and advance up and recreate a wall. Whether he leaves the lock out there or not, or pushes the lock to the right-hand side, it could be a pretty nifty play. Chuck the lock behind that terrain piece, pull those Possessed that way instead of going after double moving Terminators, and hope that he's able to get the lock down. But it is pretty swingy on the 3+ invulnerable saves or 6 up feel no pains, whether he pulls the lock down. Well, Eric, or anybody in the chat, George, what are the chances? What are the chances of a unit of Possessed killing that lock? I think a full unit of 20, you're pretty confident, but Liam never gets a full unit of 20 into combat, pretty much.
Yeah, definitely not the way he likes to string them back and make sure that he's still getting the buffs and bonuses that he's getting from his characters there. So, I don't see him getting the whole unit in there. George is reckon easy. And Lord of Change has got nothing on 20 Possessed.
Yep. Like I said, a full unit of 20, 100% he kills them. 10 of them, not so sure. It really comes down to how many he rolls on the D3. If he rolls 3 on the D3, yeah, likely. 40 attacks. Possibly hitting on 2s from Prescience, and then wounding on. He can't wound him on 2s. Wounding on 4s is the best he's going to do because he can only get to toughness. He can only get to strength 6. So wounding him on 4s. Look, 40 attacks, probably hitting all of them, and then wounding on 4s. Only 20 wounds, man. I don't think there's any way he kills him, even with 2 damage. Yeah, with only half the squad, only 10 Possessed, even with 4 attacks, I don't think there's any way he kills that lock.
Yeah, so George is pointing out that it does about 15 wounds, he's thinking.
Yeah, 10 of them, 40 attacks. Yeah.
Is it?
Hitting on 3s, rolling 1s, winning on 2s. He can't win on 2s, guys. He can't win on 2s against the lock. Lock is toughness 7. He can only get to strength 6 at his absolute best. And with +1 to wound, that means only 4s.
Yeah, so looking at Soli here, he's doing a bit of a play there where he's getting those Terminators in the top of the table. He's doing a bit of another boot scoop back there. He's trying to get out of the way of those Possessed so that he can't get tagged by them. And he's probably going to look at double shooting them. Are they a Slanesh unit as well?
They're
double shooting them into that Possessed unit.
Both of them are Slanesh. He will double shoot into that Slanesh unit. He will bloody their nose once again. If he can keep them off those Terminators for 2 turns and add in a couple of smites, a couple of bolts of chains, etc., he has a good chance of really making Liam question whether he needs to pull that unit back into his deployment zone rather than risk losing the 5 points. I think if it is ever a question of Liam trading 5 points for 5 points, he'll just keep the 5 points and not risk it for the biscuit, because there is a chance that a diminished unit of Possessed do not roll enough attacks attacks to kill the 10 Terminators, especially if they've got the Lifeful Agonies.
Yeah, that's it. So
I just think I've had a bit of a buffering. Can you hear me?
yeah, man, I can hear you perfect.
Fantastic. Dude, let's have a look at the leaderboard. We've had a couple of scores come in, so we might...
all right, sounds good.
Yeah, I might hit a transition over to that, see how things are developing over there. We might have had a couple of other scores come past as well. Should be coming up for you guys any second now. But yeah, at the start of Matt's turn 4, just a quick look at the scores. 53-33 was what I read as the last bit. So 20-point lead at the moment. Michael Conde with his Tyranids jumping up into first place with Jay Hansen in second. Both having convincing wins. But look at the battle points difference between the top two right now. What are you saying?
All right, so it's literally just coming up in here. All right, so battle point wise, so 1 and 2, we are looking at a big lead towards Shane. So Tyranids are actually nearly 40. They're nearly 50 points ahead. They're 40 something ahead. So Jay hasn't been able to get the big wins that we've seen the Tyranids get. So a very interesting thing that's been happening here. Tyranids destroying people. So that is our 1 and 2. Currently sitting on 3. Yeah, you go.
No, you go. Keep it rolling, brother.
Just currently sitting in at 3 and 4. We are looking at Michael Wood with his Dark Angels. So that is currently, he has 1 loss currently at the moment though. But he is on a battle points of 431, which is actually more than what Jay Hansen has got.
It is.
So he may have had that first win initially, but he has gone big win after big win after big win after that.
Yeah,
almost
exactly
matching win for win with Liam Hackett.
Yeah, exactly. Spot on, man. And that 59-point loss was a very, very, very respectable loss. In kind of pseudo fourth place right now is Shannon Mikic, who had a second round loss. He's playing Mixed Imperium. He had a second round loss, and then he's having big win after big win. Currently sitting on 387. So man, Jay Hansen, while being undefeated right now, there's a lot of people who have more battle points than him, which is quite interesting. But man, it doesn't matter. As long as you keep getting the W's, it doesn't matter. They can be 1-point wins. They can be 49s all the way.
We're chasing W's here.
Doesn't freaking matter. So I think no matter what happens in this Liam Hackett versus Morrisoli game, the winner of that's going to be playing Mr. Conde, right?
Pardon me. Yes, that looks to be correct. Yeah, because both of them are almost already got battle points over Jay Hansen, and neither of those have had their 5th game added.
Exactly right. So yeah, we're going to see Tyranids versus Chaos of some description. Which one of these matchups do you think is better for Mr. Conde? Which one is worse?
He would rather play. Well, Soli's probably got a few more tricks for him, doesn't he? Obviously, we know Liam has tricks, but that he's probably I think he's probably best suited off to playing into the Possessed Marines. He can probably play a bit of an attrition game there. Obviously, the Possessed will roll through a majority of those gaunts and monsters and stuff. But we've seen Shane have some pretty good ball control elements there.
Well, I think this, unlike many of our other games, if Conde played Hackett or either of these guys, he'd probably be like, the perfect circumstances is I play Hackett on a decently open board and I go first. Because legitimately, he has the firepower to like smash apart a couple of these Possessed bombs that are unbuffed. You think about it, double shooting Hive Guard, Biovores, double shooting Exocrines, things of this nature can do a hell of a lot of damage to unbuffed Possessed. A lot of these things are multi-damage as well. So maybe that's the one he would look at and be like, that's the one where I can really get a nice head start. We know how good Conde is on his board control as well, but both of these armies are both very potent board control armies that he might be going into. I think Mr. Morrisoli possesses the bigger issue, because I think just one unit of Terminators can clear all his gaunts in one turn. Like 80 shots that can be prescience
definitely
and wounding him on 2s. All the gaunts are popped. All the gaunts are gone. So I'm thinking Morrisoli is the worst matchup.
Like you mentioned, definitely Tyranid the Tyranid player Conde there. He has the ability to start chewing through the Possessed there, like we've seen, even without having to. So just the coherency tricks that Liam's been forced out of. So that could be a current problem for him.
Okay, jumping back into our main game momentarily. A quick call of the guys in the chat. Sheen Richie, any idea why Shannon is running Deathwatch? I actually haven't seen Mr. Shannon's list, so we'll probably be looking at it and analysing it at the start of the next round. So feel free to join in then to hear more of our thoughts. What style list is the Tyranid list from Brett Armitage? It's actually a bit of everything. He's got Termagants, he's got 3 units of warriors, he's got a couple of characters, a Lictor, he's got a Barbed Hero Duel, he's got a Tyrannifex, for God's sake, he's got a unit of Bivores, a unit of Hive Guard, an Exocrine. He's really just kind of everything in there. He's got a Maliceptor for the -1 strength from shooting as well, which is actually pretty saucy in this instance against some of the stuff he's playing against. But yeah, looking like strongly and deeply into Soli's next turn. That Keeper got a big advance, guys. Look at him. He's right up in his grill. What's going to happen here? Those Terminators are going to shoot down those Cultists, and one of those units of Possessed, those Wild Beast Stands, is going to get numbed on by this Keeper. Like, it's just going to freaking happen. Wow. Big swing. Looking at the scores as well. 30 points for the primary for Matt Morrisoli. That is simply due to the play that Liam had to make with those Possessed, and he made it very well. Jumped up there, ate those beasts, and leveled the primary, so Matt didn't get a 15. Matt picked up 2 more for Raise the Banners, which I thought he was going to do. He's probably going to be moving the DMS down, like I can see the DMS down on the bottom left-hand corner piece of terrain. They're going to be raising that banner as well. Next turn, he will be getting 3. I don't believe there is any way for Liam to get over to the left-hand side of the board and pull down banners wholesale now. So he's going to be leaving this with a decent, very respectable banner score. Over to you, Nick. What are you seeing? What are you thinking? And how many Possessed are going to be left at the end of this turn?
Yeah, I'm guessing not much. Obviously, Liam's done what he can to try and protect them there. Like you mentioned, he's got that unit of cultists there as a bit of a screen so that the Keeper won't get in there. It looks like Solly's trying to get some shots off onto those cultists as best as he can to try and make a bit of a gap there so he can pass on through there and kill that last of the Possessed. Primary-wise, so it looks to me like Solly's going to just keep going ahead. I can see him getting the 4 per turn, 3 or 4 per turn. He's definitely going to max out on the primary. Liam's probably going to go with 3 as well though. So, but you can probably just get a bit behind. So yeah, it's definitely a close game here, like you've mentioned, and it's really just going to come down to whether or not he can keep those Possessed alive.
Yeah, there is a bit of an interesting play here. So if you look at that bottom right-hand corner objective, it looks like unit of 10 cultists, and looks like maybe 2 characters are touching that also. One of those being Celesk and possibly his Warp Time Sorcerer. That Keeper's those Terminators are gonna kill those cultists. That Keeper is gonna have the ability to get a juicy charge. He could go into the Possessed, try and pull them down to deny that, or he tries and kills whatever's gonna be holding that to equal them on that objective and give Liam a 5-point primary turn.
A 5-point primary.
Yeah, which I think would be
10 point. Sorry. So this is the hold 1 for 5. Hold
okay,
2 for 10.
then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. He goes to the Possessed. He goes to the Possessed 100%. I thought this was the hold 2 for some reason. I keep thinking that. Where was the 6 objective hold 2 one? Have we missed it? Or is that the Scouring, the one we're not playing?
I think that's the one where they're on the diagonal across the middle there with 1 in each deployment zone. That's the one that's
of course.
Hold
the
2 for the 6.
Yeah, rough objectives. Rough. Yeah, these Terminators are going to kill those
definitely.
cultists. Those cultists are kaput. That Keeper is going to charge something. She's going to have eat her
they are
fill.
Gonskis.
This is rough, guys. This is rough. Liam's still very much in this game. It really depends on how the saves from the Possessed on the right-hand side shake out. As you can see, what I said happened, that wall has been re-established, that Keeper anchoring one side of it and then the Possessed string across. There is really no feasible way those Possessed get through through the Beast and into the Terminators this turn. The next turn, he still has his Sorcerer back there. He can still double move those those Terminators away, even if they do make contact with the front squad. Either that, or they'll be strung out sufficiently and be far enough away from the buffs that he can have a commitment from those Terminators and kill the Possessed. But we'll see how many die from this investment from shooting, because this will be a double shooting unit of Termies. He does have quite a few touching terrains. He has quite a few of the saves
It
there.
looks like we're seeing a few different autocannons there from Solly from that top unit. He's measuring down to see what he can get down there.
Yeah, agreed. And looks like he's only failed 1 save there, and looks like he's failed that on the Feel No Pain. So it could either be a lad dead, or a lad taking a wound. Now, where that is big for Solly is that if that is a dude's in cover, whatever this guy is, he has to take the Stormbolter shot first. He doesn't want to get exposed on coherency once again, 3 for 3 times being exposed on coherency. So whatever happens here, the blob that exists on the top right-hand objective is going to be what's left at the end of this turn. But the issue is they're very far away from the buffs if they do get exposed to that. So interesting to see where he pulls casualties. There's going to be a lot of nuance to this this shooting phase.
Yeah, that's it. Shout out to Brett too, coming in from the UK. Thanks very much, mate, for joining us. Yeah, we're loving bringing you guys the coverage.
Absolutely, it's a bit of a privilege to be able to offer some people who might not be able to play the game at the moment, some people might be doing it rough. Hopefully some relief and a bit of an outlet so you can still enjoy the hobby you love. And you're very privileged and honoured, myself and Nick, and of course the lovely Joshua Diffie, who made all this possible to be able to bring it to you. Thanks to our sponsors once again. I won't go through the full spiels, but basically Nicer Dice, Smoky Barbecue, BCP, Best Coast Pairings, Dragon's Lair, and the Normal Blokes, and of course the wonderful Art of War for allowing us to do all the things that we're able to do today, tomorrow, yesterday, and the day after. Oh, this is such a marathon.
Yeah, that's it. And what do people do? If people are enjoying our content here, Adam, what should they do? How do they follow us?
Please hit the like button on this video, on every video. Please tune into as many as you can. Jump in, support us on Patreon, either the Art of War Down Under or Art of War. Join the War Room, get involved, be part of this growing and incredible supportive community, and hopefully grow and become the player that you want to be. So yeah, please join in, get involved. Send us a super chat if you like. I'm not against it. I'm not against people giving us money. That would be wonderful. But yeah, by all means, not necessarily. We're not here for profit in any way. But yeah, very happy to be here, guys, and very happy to accept any and all donations. Everything that you guys chuck towards this stream will go to be making and creating better, more exciting, more entertaining content for you guys in the future. Dude, it's go time.
The gameplay here, we're seeing a bit of measurements here. So Solly again, he's obviously trying to just shoot away as best he can. So I'd say another couple of those Reaper auto cannons are trying to plink into those units that are in the bottom right hand corner. Solly seems to have him pretty well pinned as well. So think about domination. We've seen Liam be stuck on that for 3 turns. So that's obviously not going to get any higher. I don't think him holding four objectives anymore.
No, I don't think it's a possibility for Liam to hold 4 anymore. So I think it's just at best it's going to be 10-10 for him for the last 2 turns of the game. I can't see him ending any more than 40 on his primary.
Yep.
I've got a feeling he's double shooting his Terminators. Maybe he can see that last 2-man unit of Possess down there. Maybe he's decided to double shoot those Terminators, charge the Keeper into the other one, and see what he can get done there. That's a big deal if he can. If he can pull down those dudes in this turn right now, that leaves the Keeper open to maybe go in and hunt down that Warp Time. As soon as the Warp Time's gone, those Possessed trying to catch those Terminators is not going to happen. They're going to be able to double move. He won't be able to, and that'll be all she wrote for numbing down. He might have to put those Possessed into the...
Yeah, well, you're spot on the money there. We're seeing some CP spent there.
So
he's definitely going to have to put that possession into that Lord of Change there.
Yeah, 100%, man. Because there's no way for them to get the Terminator. So he's just going to have to go into the lock and hope and pray he rolls appropriately. But yeah, we know it's a big swing. We know it is a big swing one way or another, whether he kills them or not. Yeah, and that Keeper being there pretty much unmolested, untouched, means that he's going to have some prime opportunities to deny some of his better psychic powers. And if I was him, the offensive psychic buffs would probably be what I'm after.
It doesn't look like that double shooting was actually able to do anything there. It looked like they were able to do one wound, and Liam saved it.
No, it was. There was a character at the bottom there. If there was a character,
really?
Yeah, at the bottom. I don't quite know what that was or who that might have been. It might have been his Dark Apostle. It might have been a couple of different things. But yeah, he's gone in there. Looks like he's it's just checking what the charge might be. Whether he can get that charge and stay away from Celeste is going to be the interesting thing. Or maybe if he's just going for Celeste and just headhunting that one, because then the advance and charge will be lost for the Possessed as well. Interesting nuanced bit of play here. I'm wondering what's the best option. I think if he can not charge Celeste or not be intervened, I think that's the best play. Just go for the guaranteed points you can get off the table. Because right now, all 3 of Soli's While We Stand are alive. Just taking one away, that 5-point swing is immense. Is absolutely immense in the tail of this game. Looks like he's going into both. He's going into Celeste and going into the 2-man Possessed. So interesting to see how he does his attacks here, where he's going to put his attacks. Very, very interesting. Look, we do have a heroic intervention by what I believe would be his Apostle. I'm not sure if he had whether he's Sorcerer. He's got a Sorcerer or a Master of Possession.
If you keep chatting, I'll have a look at that right now.
So he's intervened with whatever other character he had. The split here on the attacks is going to be interesting. Celeste doesn't have a great defense. Only got a 5+ invuln, and I believe somewhere in the region of 8 wounds. So this Keeper is very capable, hitting her on 2s, wounding her on 2s, re-rolling. Very, very capable of pulling Celeste down. In addition, it's only 2 Possessed he's got to kill. So maybe he's going 6 and 4, the 3 damage ones into Celeste, the 6 attacks, the 2 damage ones going into the Possessed. That would make a lot of sense to me. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, so Adam, he has a Dark Apostle, a Master of Possession, and a Sorcerer there. There are the 3 HQ units that he has.
So it looks like he's got 4 wounds through. This could either be on Celeste or on the possessed. Oh, wow. Let's see what happened there. So here comes the saves in. Looks like he saved one. Maybe looks like he saved one, possibly two. Maybe he's missed both. He's thinking about a reroll. Here comes the reroll. What's it going to be? Oof. Oof, oof, oof. Celeste is down, guys. Celeste got popped.
Big play.
Big play. Does he still have more attacks going into the possessed? Looks like the possessed aren't dead, guys. He just rolled his D3 for how many attacks they're going to get. Oh, so he's got the 6 attacks. He's looking for his buffs. Celeste being down, man, that's actually huge. Actually a very big deal. But wonder why he went for that and didn't put everything into the possessed. The possessed represent a true and real 5-point loss for Liam. A very interesting, very interested why he did not go for that. Seems bizarre to me.
Yeah, that's it. Well, George in the chat's been saying the whole time he would be going after those characters. So maybe George is onto it more so than us. He loses his speed, is what George is saying. So obviously the buffs that he's getting from Celeste there. But in saying that, the majority of the buffs will be relegated too, because that top unit now we're going to see that starting to be pulled away from the buffs. The bottom unit down there are so small that the actual buffs won't actually do a lot to them, which to me I would have been going after that 5-point play.
Well, I'm of the opinion now that depending on what buffs this keeper has, those possessed need to turn around and come back and kill it. He's lost the ability to sling. I think all his psychic powers are gone. I'm of the opinion he's probably only got his Dark Apostle left, and I think that the Dark Apostle is left because that unit that is there has 2 of his 25 mil bases. The only 25 mil bases apart from the cultists he has, there's only 2 of them, are his little dudes. So he's got a Dark Apostle. What are the acolytes? So I think that's his Dark Apostle. He's intervened into him. It's going to be funny because I'm pretty sure he's probably got hysterical frenzy up on himself. Which means that if Hayden doesn't fall back, he's going to need to attack again in his psychic phase, which is pretty funny. Although he can't. Sorry, that's the thing you cast on yourself during your own psychic phase, and then you immediately attack. So, apologies for that. Completely incorrect. Start of Liam Hackett's turn. Solly has gone up to 56 points. Liam Hackett currently sitting on 47. Got another 10 for primary, as we knew he would. Sitting on only 3 for domination. So he's got 1 turn of domination in the bag. I'm not quite sure what turn that was. Would have been the first turn, of course, because he's sitting on 4 objectives.
Yeah.
And 4 points for a while. And 4 points to raise the banners because, of course, he's been sitting quite comfortably on his 2 home objectives. Like I thought, due to the keeper going so deep and killing those characters, I don't think he would have zero confidence that without all the offensive buffs and the defensive buffs that he could go into that lock with any meaningful chance of killing it. Because if he went in and he didn't kill it, he's actually completely dead. He has like I said, he's got no defensive buffs, no delightful agonies, no, what's it called? Cursed Earth. So only a 5+ invulnerable save and no feel no pain. They are cooked. The Terminators will charge them and will kill them if they go forward. That is, of course, if they don't kill the lock. Yeah. And then it's just changing. It's just trading 5 points for either 5 points or no points. Not a good trade. Kill the keeper. Consolidate where you are. And unfortunately, this is probably acceptance by Liam that he's lost this game, and he's probably being like, okay, get every point that I can because now that I've lost a game, how many points I'm on really matters for the end results and the scoring and the podium. Because there's only going to be one undefeated player, or possibly even no undefeated players.
Except for Shane with his Tyranids, the new people's champion.
Yeah.
No, I think you pretty much summed that up there, solo there, Adam. You've done a good job of that. Liam's obviously just trying to keep as many points as he can and not trying to let his possessed die. He wants to keep the highest score that he can because, like you mentioned, maybe Solly loses, maybe Shane with his Tyranid loses after this, and if that is the case, he's still going to be in a prime position to try and take out this tournament.
Liam will Liam is crushing
needs to fall into survival mode right now.
Yeah, he's going to exactly right. Survival mode, perfectly said, mate. And Liam has been crushing it so hard, getting these 100-point wins that even a hearty loss probably sees him in 3rd place, comfortably still playing very much for a podium, and could be still very much playing for 1st place. It is a possibility that unlike the shadow round kind of stuff that happens at LVO, there can be undefeated players getting podiums, especially undefeated players in 1st place, which is unusual for a lot of other events. And that's due to every single player playing 8 games, and there's no knockout, there's no nothing. This is an absolute goddamn marathon for everyone involved. Have you ever played any CanCons, brother? You played any 3 days?
No, I haven't, mate. I've never played a 3 day. So six games in 2 days is the most I've done.
Yep. Fair.
So yeah, no.
I've
What
only,
about what about you?
I played in 2 CanCons myself, and I played in a
Yep.
3-dayer in fantasy back in the day also. So yeah, I'm a
Right.
big fan of 3-dayers, but I don't like doing more than one a year. Turns out, it's more than one a year. It's more than enough, guys. Yeah, I just like the different wavelengths you could operate on. Like I was talking about yesterday, like people in game 4 and game 5 are still willing to submarine. It really changes the way
Yeah, definitely.
you do things, and yeah, just the fact that you're probably like in 8 games, and if you're doing well, you're probably going to have to play every other good player in the top bracket, like literally every other one at some point. It makes it such a gauntlet to run for everyone involved.
Yeah, it definitely does. And a lot of times, so the smaller events that we have here, with just for our American viewers at home, they often say that we've got a bit of a wonky meta here in Australia is a bit weird. But what we find here, it's a bit of a death ball when you go to a tournament here, because you might play in a 20-man event, but those 20 men that you're playing against, maybe like 8 of them could be the most elite from the country. So you can't submarine at these smaller events that we have going around, and everything seems to be a bit of a death ball.
Yes, exactly right. So, man, this keeper's probably going to go down. If this keeper lives, it is so bad. It is so bad.
Well, we've already seen some
is this a
wounds
warp
go
time?
from it previously.
I think we're just seeing a warp time. How does he get warp time still? Maybe the possession, maybe the master of possession isn't dead. Maybe I read that board wrong. Maybe he still has warp time. He's just forced that through with the word bearer strat to auto get it off. Or he just rolled really well. Looks like he's going to make a dive for this unit of Terminators on the left-hand side. Unbuffed, he's going for it. So this is going to be a trade. I believe this is going to be a trade. If he can keep this alive, it's actually a really big deal. But unbuffed, these guys are going to get the double moving Terminators at the top. They're going to move down. They're going to move down again. They're going to double shit into them. They're going to do a hell of a lot of damage. And Solly will, like, legitimately, if he half kills this one, he will do the auto charge from those guys into him. And that unit of possessed could very well be dead. But as it is right now, it's still a lot of wounds. It's still a hell of a lot of attacks. But unlike a lot of other times, the charge might not be an auto charge for him at this time.
Yeah, not only that, we're actually seeing a bit of a tendril form there too. So he's still getting himself to go all the way back there, there to the objective as well. Yeah. So the charge that he does get off isn't actually going to get that many possessed in there.
Yeah, it's not going to be a hellacious amount. He has made the charge. He has just made the charge. No, I don't know what's going to happen here. I actually don't know what's going to happen here, guys. He could use.
I'm going to go out and say this is a bit of a stretch on Liam's behalf. I don't know if it would be interesting to see how many possessed he gets in there, but I'm not sure if he's got enough possessed actually in there to do enough damage.
He's doing a full tendril as well. He's doing a full tendril. Might be a mistake. How many possessors he got? 1, 2, 3. He's going to have 4, 5, 6. He's only got 8 possessed. He needs to live on a prayer. He's going to spend the CP to go to 2 damage, more than likely. He's going to live on a prayer. He's going to hope that he rolls better than a 1 on the D3. And we'll see what happens here. This is a spicy meatball. 100% he's going to go for the 2 damage, though. Like 150%. I'm of the opinion that these Terminies are unbuffed themselves. So it's quite likely they go down. He has attacked into the Keeper first. Of course, the Keeper has always strikes first. If you do not catch the Keeper first, the Keeper will go to attack you next. So very good call by him. Whether he kills the Keeper or not, maybe it doesn't matter now. Maybe it actually doesn't matter if the Keeper survives. He is interrupting. I think we're just seeing a 2 CP interrupt by the Termies. Yeah, wow. Okay. I think, yeah, that did just happen. He's going to body every single one of them so they can't boot scoot and get into the Demonettes in any meaningful way or contest that objective, pull down that banner. Okay, solid, big plays by both opponent. Liam has done everything he can to stay in this game. He's going still headhunting those while we stand points.
He definitely has.
But dude, call this. What's going to happen? What's your prediction? This is crazy town.
Yeah, my prediction is that he's not actually going to kill enough. Obviously, you've said the interrupt here. I can probably see Solly maybe killing 6 of the possessed. That would be my guess.
Yep.
And if that is the case, I'm interested to see where they are pulled from, because if he's pulling from the front, obviously he may find himself pretty much out of combat there. Maybe 2 or 3 only get into combat, even with his pile in. He's looking at a couple, but he's also going to be very stuck for trying to pile in away from that objective on the top right side.
He might have still wanted to attack with the possessed first. In hindsight, we'll see how damaging this is. This might not be as bad as we're making out. Like I said, he still had the Master of Possession, so he still has the warp time. So maybe there is a buff. There is a piece of paper next to those possessed. So maybe there is some meaningful buff that has gone off on them. So yeah, who knows how rough this is going to be? But I think Soli's absolutely right. He should interrupt here, take every advantage he can, get as many possessed he can off the table, because every single one he kills now.
Yeah,
is
well, they're
more...
just been pointed out to me that because they're Emperor's children, they fight first. So it's not actually an interrupt.
Oh, dead set. Dude, you're absolutely right. Sorry, guys. Didn't see that. It must have been Veterans of the Long War he changed his CP for. That would make a lot more sense.
Yeah, that's that. Shout out to Eric who pointed that out to me.
Bam, we're getting rerolls to wound here. Wounding on 3s. Oh, looks like he's only failed with 3 or 4 wounds. It's going to be 5+ invulnerable saves. I don't believe they're in range of Cursed Earth. Jeez, this could be the end of the game we're seeing right now.
And they definitely won't be getting any more
2
field
dead,
no
3 dead, 4 dead,
either,
5 dead.
So.
6 dead, 7 dead. Wow, I think this is cooked. I think this is it. We could even see a handshake at the end of this. The Keeper is still alive. The Possessed are about to be butchered. Wow, okay. He might still have Feel No Pains to go, guys.
No, I believe they would have already been taken away, wouldn't they?
He's killed himself all the way out of that. And then one side of this is going to die to morale. He's killed the entire middle of that. That is the strength and the weakness of the big tendril. He's going to keep his ability to kill the Terminators, though. He's going to retain his ability to kill the Terminators, and he's going to kill himself back onto the objective. Good play by Liam, doing the best he can now in a bad situation. But geez, wow, Soli. Big turn, man.
5, 6, like me and you, he's probably forgotten about that Slaanesh fight first trait that they've ability that they've got there.
Yeah, well, so
it's probably
the Keeper could actually be fighting next. But no, it's charges, so he would go. Yeah, they'll be alternating here on charges. So the Keeper will go next and probably survive. Yep. I'm probably betting the Keeper survives here. Oh, this is so big, boys. Such a great game. Thank you so much to Solly. Thank you so much to Liam for showcasing just top level 40k. We're into 12 minutes.
Thanks so much to the chat for hanging out with us and enjoying it with us.
Michael Swain, I wonder if Liam's list would be better with 1 Red Corsairs allied detachment with 20 possessed in it, so we can try and reserve the right to res an infantry unit for a full CP. Yeah, re-racking a unit of possessed would be pretty heinous.
Yeah, Green Titan on some possessed, that would be very rough.
That's the Terminator's gone, whole unit picked up. And now the possessed will kill themselves to one side or the other. Don't think it matters. I think either way, whatever's left on that unit, maybe he kills the 3 in the top right, just because so he retains more bodies to chew through. Because I think if he kills... Sorry?
That is some good chaos play there, just sacrificing all your own dudes. Get in there, kill a unit, you die too bad.
Yeah. There may be... This will be turn 5. This will be the bottom of turn 5 for Soli. Some of these possessed should be dead. One half or the other half should be gone. Almost 10 minutes left, 11 minutes left. The Keeper hasn't attacked, by the way. I haven't seen the Keeper attack. Is this a talking...
No, it still seems like they're discussing about which unit will die.
Yeah. I don't believe they might be talking this out, guys.
It could be. We're looking at 11 minutes left on our clock, and we knew in the previous one that there was quite a little bit discrepancy by 15 minutes in the other one. So,
yeah.
Mr. Weeb is back. Mr. Weeb, hello. Hey. Good to have you back, mate.
Well, very good to have you back, Mr. Weeb. So, the upshot is Soli just lost 5 points on while we stand. He's going to be gaining another. So this is the interesting thing, yeah. If Liam kills himself off the top right hand objective, Soli gets a 15 for primary. So he has to kill himself off the bottom left hand objective. All those possessed need to be dead, or maybe they've already decided they're dead. They've decided they're low on the priority totem pole for time. So they're going to be just possibly talking this through, haven't bothered picking up the things, just going to see what this Keeper kills, whether it can kill itself out of combat, and then if it does, it's got the opportunity to kill one of the units of possessed and really get another 5 points down on while we stand. They're just doing the important stuff here. I do see this happen a lot. Like, we know that this unit of possessed is dead. The ones in the bottom left-hand corner have been probably killed off by the coherency, just to not give the 15 to Soli on morale. And then there's only got 3 at the top. They'll be very easily killed off by mortal wounds from the Keeper and shooting from the Terminators. So that's 5 to 5. So both of them have lost 5 points on engage. It's whether this Keeper can go around the back and pick up that 2-man unit of possessed or not. Whether he already has or they get picked up by shooting remains to be determined. Yep, all those possessed just got picked up there. Might be in pack-up mode now. They might just be chucking in the scores. I expect Mr. Matt Morrisoli to have won this by somewhere in the region of 17 to 25 points, but it's not going to be a huge one, and Liam Hackett definitely has got a very respectable score at the end of this. Just clicked under 10 minutes
100%,
left.
and by no means is he out of it as well. So he still has the option to be able to win the rest of his games and be a complete threat here in the tournament.
Absolutely right. Yeah, well thought out by Liam to do the breakdown. He's just put the possess back. Just put the possess back for some reason. Oh, he's decided it's more important for him to pull down his opponent's banners and score himself a 15 at the end of the game.
There you go.
Knowing there's nothing he could have done to stop Solly getting a 45, he's decided to kill the ones in the top right and hope that his possess survive, because then legitimately he might have a play to win the game. He gets 45, his opponent gets 45, he pulls down a bunch of Solly's banners. So Solly's currently will be sitting on 10 for while we standing fight. He's got 9 for raise the banners, and he's got currently sitting on 10 for engage North fronts. So what is that? 10, 9, 29, 39 plus 45. What's that score there? That is 84?
Yes.
Yep, 84. So yeah, I assumed he was going to end around about the 88-point mark. So that was because I was assuming he was going to get 4 points.
What you were chasing.
Yeah, 4 points at the end for banners. He's actually sacrificed holding the primary over Solly or causing Solly to have that in order to pull down possibly 4 points from banners in the last turn. I'm of the opinion it might have been a mistake, and that he should have taken the higher score. I think he's already lost the game, and taking the more points at the end probably would have been the better call. What do you think, mate?
Keep 100%. What do I think? Well, Mr. Weeb has come in with a super chat for us. That's what I'm thinking. He has come in asking you, is this the 60 possess list? Yes, it is. This is Liam's 60 possess list that we've seen this morning. And it looks like Solly's been able to pip him at the post.
Yeah, dude. It looks like Solly's been able to play this one pretty magnificently. Liam has played a great game himself. Very, very impressed with both these gentlemen. Mr. Weeb, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it, dude. George, I think rightly pointed out, I think on rewind when Liam watches this back, and assuming he's going to watch this back, he will decide that first turn unit of possess that he strung out across 2 objectives was an overextension. He left himself vulnerable to being isolated over there. And in that first turn, what happened was he lost, 6 of that unit to the damage, and then he lost another 6 or 7, killed himself down to 5 through the coherency check. So yeah, that keeper's still in combat. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to break out and get into any of those possess to deny any more while we
that's it. It does look like Solly might be moving that Lord of Change up to be able to get some smites off. So that could be another little play there.
He is touching that terrain piece, as we know, that will open up, and he'll try and smite out the Dark Apostle. That will 100% let the keeper fight and go off and do its thing. The other thing, if you cast Hysterical Frenzy, if that's a keeper with Hysterical Frenzy, he'll be able to fight and pin himself from combat in the Psychic phase when he fights. That Dark Apostle just got picked up by the smites. That keeper is going to go and possibly get a charge off. Solly will spend whatever CP he has to, because that's another 5 points on while we stand that might go begging. We're going to see whether the Terminators can pull down this last unit of what looks to be 7 possessed. It looks like he's got his warp time off. Oh, he's just going to charge him. Yeah, he's going to charge him. If he's got any CP left, it's going to go into making one of his charge dice a 6. Whether he shoots them dead or not, doesn't think it matters. I don't think Solly wants to shoot him. He's measuring the charge right now.
No, I don't think he wants to, because he just wants to make sure that he can definitely get inside there.
He's much better off just charging him.
Yeah, good chance he wipes them.
Yeah, on the charge, I think it's a very good chance he wipes them. Yeah, and pretty much all he needs to do, that's his last CP, is going in. He's rolling that dice, seeing if the keeper makes it. Oh, no, he's still rolling smites, apologies. He's just smiting. He's killed off the Acolytes. They won't be putting up any banners at the end of the game. I think that's what he's trying to deny there. Man, what a game by both of these opponents. Here comes that big charge from
it has been big.
Yeah, here comes the big charge from the possessed dude. Feel free to call this one out. How many did he kill last time when he intervened? Like when he attacked with the...
I believe it was something like 6, something like that. He took away the middle tendril. I think it was around 6.
Yeah, he's got 7 in that brick right now.
Yeah, so the combat-wise, it may not just be enough to get rid of all of them in one go. It would be interesting to see.
But the important thing there is also locking him up in combat, so he can't run away and pull down banners and hold primary. So just getting him in combat is enough to get the job done, I think.
Yeah, so for people at home, what we're saying is this is Solly's turn 5, and then Liam is still going to have his turn 5 because Liam went second here.
Yeah,
Liam
exactly
has
right.
continued his trend of going second all weekend.
Yeah. Funnily enough, Jeremy went second as we've gone second in his first 3 games. Interested to know if he went second versus Jay Hansen. I feel like it might be what we called as wrong. He might have gone first, and that's what enabled Jay to get the big swing on the primary at the end. Because I was of the opinion that he wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, that's it, man. All right, so just continue talking this game through as we try and wrap it up here for both guys. We've had a good day so far. So we've already seen 6 games already. We've already talked through 6 games. We've had a big day here and another 3 to come. So stay tuned with us. Sean Ritchie in the chat is saying it is nighttime in Canada, boys. Thanks for the stream. Yeah, no problems. Thanks for tuning in and watching us.
Thanks for commenting, mate. Appreciate you joining in. Those Terminators have made that charge, guys. So... And the Demonettes are going in as well. You madman, Sully.
Yes.
They both get to fight first.
Yeah, so that's how we're going to see those extra 2 to 3 wounds that we're going to have to see come through. So the Demonettes will come in. They're going to wrap as well. So they're on the obsec. So they're also outnumbering on that objective there. So that's what's going to be the swings to stop Liam from getting that 15.
Yes, they're creating a wall. So even if there is 1 or 2 survivors, it's going to be very hard pressed for them to get around the flanks of that. And they're actually going to have to target out. They don't have the ability. So they want to kill the Demonettes.
He's actually got them holding 2 objectives.
Exactly.
So that is a massive play there by Sully. Nice.
It's creating a bit of a paradox for the possessed. Let's say he flubs this roll, with the Terminators, doesn't kill the possessed. When the possessed fight, do they kill the Demonettes, which is going to stop Sully, which is going to allow him to hold the primary, or do they go for the Terminators and stop the while we stand? It's really, really interesting which one he goes for. It's obvious that the Keeper did not make a charge. By the way, the Keeper probably flubbed its charge, but admittedly, it had to go all the way around the terrain piece to make the possessed back there. But holy crap, this is a hell of a game, guys. Hell of a game by these 2 gents. It's a score. So it's 74 to Sully, yeah?
Yeah, it definitely is, and we've got 1 more turn to go here. So while we stand, we fight. We haven't seen end for either players there. Domination, obviously, at no point has Liam been able to get that after turn 1 and raise the banners. He's also been restricted into that corner by Sully, making sure he's been pinned into that corner and taking objectives from him whenever he wanted, which is what we're going to see again here. So even with getting the 15 again onto the primary, and we know he's not going to get that 15 for the while we stand here, and it's looking very likely that we can put down a 10 for Sully on the while we stand. Yeah,
it's looking very, very, very likely. The lock cannot die. There is the option that if Liam makes an absolutely ridiculous baller amount of saves here, that the Terminators could possibly die, but I'm of the opinion these possessed are absolutely dead. 1 dead, 2 dead, 3 dead, 4 dead. 5 dead already. They are dead. They are cooked. That is the game. We're probably going to see a handshake right now. There's not much left for Liam to do, and it's just going to be him running onto some objectives, probably putting up a banner or 2, and that's it. We'll see Sully chuck in his final scores, the score that he will remain for the remainder of this game. Sweet, merciful Lord. What a game. 2 minutes left going into the bottom of turn 5. They've played out to max time. They're not going to be playing overtime in any way. Well done to these gents. Is that 77 for Sully?
It looks like it, yeah. Hats off to both boys. Yeah, so the engage is the only thing that he get capped up to, which he's got there for 77. So that will be Sully's score. And like I mentioned, they're just hats off to both gentlemen. What a game.
Yeah. It'll be 87. Incredible. 87. He's got 10 points left to chuck on for while we stand. I predicted he'd end on 88. So yeah, I'm slipping, boys. There, I'm slipping. It's
You're
rough.
Wrong. That's one of your worst calls of the day we've had, actually, Adam.
Turn 2, I predicted he'd end on 88, man, and just like so wrong. 87. I'll hang my head in shame.
Yeah, mate. When that's your bad calls, you're doing pretty good, Adam.
Not good enough. I demand perfection. What's he got left? Looks like he's got a unit of cultists that were hanging out in the back. He's going to run on there. He's going to hold those 2 objectives over the Keeper, get himself outside 3 inches if he can. Yeah, there's a handshake. That's it. 10 more points will go in for Liam on the primary. 5 points or 10 points will go in for while we stand. Liam will end up on around 67 points to Sully's 87. The other prediction I had was that we're going to see about a 20 to 25 point win to Sully. And man, it rang true. Sully, the man, the Plague Hulk came out. What are you going to say here while we're seeing those ends up? Any accolades you want to lay on these gentlemen? And what was the play of the game for you?
Well, just before we do that, Michael Swain has jumped in and given us a $5 super chat. So thanks very much for that. Shout out. That's the play of my day.
Michael Swain. Well, Michael Swain's been our greatest contributor throughout the days of this so far. So, dude, Michael Swain
he definitely has.
He's my man. He's my boy. hit me up, dude. Is there something we can do for you? If we can give you a shout out, send you some merch, please let us know, man. It'll be my pleasure.
Yeah, you've looked after us all weekend, mate. Thank you very much. Just going back to the game there, you're saying play of the day. I'd say it just came down to the movement there. So we know Solly got the turn one, which he didn't want, but he's been able to apply a bit of pressure and sort of cut off Liam. So that's what I've liked about Solly's game so far. What about you?
I actually really liked a couple of plays by Liam. His willingness to negate his pressure in order to consolidate his deployment zone, I think, shows a lot of maturity. He's playing an army that you can get very caught up in and just sling units, slinging stuff all over the board, and just trying to do a whole game's worth of work in one turn. He's showing a lot of maturity and playing a lot more of a measured approach, just doing the things he needs to do to ensure he maintains board presence, maintains his scoring ability. Solly has actually gone up to 90 points. So I was well off, guys. I'm so sorry.
There we go.
I'm so sorry. We should be seeing 10 more points on for Mr. Hackett. That is a 27-point win. Sorry, 23-point win? Yeah, 23-point win to Mr. Matt Morris Solly. Bada bing, bada boom. Guys, thank you so much for joining us for this stream. Thank you so much for your patronage and whatnot. We will be back in probably only about 15-20 minutes with the final game of day 2. Let's have a quick look at our leaderboard, see what we're going to be seeing in our next games. With Solly getting up in that one, he's going to be playing against the Nids in game 6. Seeing some claps here. I think we're applauding the lunch meals, which were actually quite impressive. Very, very, very worthy of
just
the
in the chat there before you carry on. Comment Chronicles has asked if we featured any GKs yet. We actually had a GKs yesterday. I think it was round 1, wasn't it, Adam? We had some GKs.
It was actually round 2. Stuart Trainer, his
round
entire
2.
his entire family jumped in
to
support him. How good was it?
Yeah, that was good. That was one of the highlights, actually. Yeah. All right. So the leaderboard is just coming up there, and our man Stoley from Art of War, he is our number 1 player currently, sitting on 444 points. That seems to be some kind of chaos number if ever I've seen one.
Absolutely. With Shane Condi, whatever. Playing Tyranids in second place, undefeated. Running that out is Jay Hansen. They are our 3 undefeated players. Liam Hackett now sitting firmly in 4th place. He's going to be playing into Jay next turn. And Shane will be playing into Matt Morrisoli. Our other game will be Gabe Dello playing his Pure Drakari, which is using very well against... the Templars are going to be on stream, guys. Lukey Pierce.
Oh, we finally got Luke on.
Love it. I'll be very happy to see that game, see how that goes. Rounding out our top 10, we have Michael Wood and Brian Lakin's going to be Dark Angels versus Harlequins. It'll be a reenactment of what Brian did to me in that same matchup. I expect Brian to actually win that one, but we'll see what happens. And then Augustus Hebblewhite, which we just call Gus because I do not, no one's a fan of that name, playing Benjamin Regetz. So that is mixed Imperium versus mixed Eldari. Gus is playing the racks. He's got 60 racks. He's got the 3 blobs of 20, and he's just starting to get a bit of momentum going. I think he's finally figured out how to wield them appropriately. As you can see, his scores have been pretty steady. Mate, what do you want to say before we turn this one off and unplug?
Quite high. Mate, just before we unplug, August Spafford has given us another super chat. We just get super chats non-stop. Boys, save them for the next round. Make sure you come in here and follow us again. Get into it. We've got game 3. We've got the end of the day wrapping up day 2. Follow us along, and thanks for having me, Adam.
Absolutely, dude. My absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for all you've done. I'll join you again, guys, probably in the next 15-20 minutes. We're going to have a quick rest,